Welcome once again to the PokerStars Arena and the final day of the Blowout Series. Yes, it's almost over, but we are going out in style with the final table of the 1K Big Blowout, an event with a near $7 million prize pool and a first prize of almost $1 million. Hello everyone, I'm James Hartigan. He is Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my babies. It's time to blow out the blowout.
Well, last night, Joe, we saw the 5K high roller play down to a winner. Hello Totty, taking the first prize of nearly 220K. Worth highlighting that our very own Lex Veldhouse secured his biggest ever online score in that event with his 4th place finish, which was worth more than $97,000, and that takes Lex's total online earnings to over $2 million. Plus, he had that 2nd place finish in a PKO event at the start of the series, and as if that wasn't enough, Lex also went deep in the big blowout, finishing 30th for $14,000. Now, just 9 players remain. Headlined by Art Barber from Lithuania, chip leader with a 74 big blind stack. The other big stacks being Vlad Dari from Romania.
Year of Romania.
And Fernando Viana, who was the winner of the Stadium Series Grand Final last year. Gordon Reed is the short stack with 11 bigs. He is in the danger zone.
Danger zone!
Now we've made the final table. Now we're down to the final 9. Everyone's guaranteed more than $57,800, $6.9 million prize pool in this event. 6-figure scores for the top 7, nearly $500,000 to 3rd place, more than $690K to the runner-up, and a first prize of $983K. Almost so close to being a 7-figure score. Well, our first expert analyst of the evening is Mr. Sam Grafton. How are you, the squid?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm really good. Big first prize today. That always gets me really excited. So I'm eager to get into the action.
Yeah, well, Sam, you were part of the action, and it's worth pointing out that you did make the money in this event. I believe it was 748th place for 2.5K. And you know how I love to call out those rebuys. No second bullet for Sam Squid, so that's pure profit.
Yeah, pure profit. Thank you for the tiniest ever round of applause that we've seen on the Blowout Series podcast.
I like that you didn't let yourself rebuy because you knew you had to work today. You had one shot at this.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, I wanted to reg the last chance yesterday, but my professionalism 6 months into this gig is kicking in, and I resisted the urge to press the registration button so I could be here with you fine people today.
Yes, we want you for the final table of this big event, which kind of feels like the main event at the end of the Blowout Series. And we have got 4 qualifiers at this final table. Dari Poker, our Barber, the chip leader, Mr. Havener, and Gordon Reed, all in for less than the 1K buy. And those first 3 players in via $109 satellites. Gordon, the short stack coming into the final table, in for $22. And just to highlight one more time, because the first online series that we streamed in this way from the arena was the Stadium Series. That concluded with the 5K Grand Final, and that was won by Viana, who now finds himself 3rd in chips coming into the final table of the Blowout Series final. So could make it 2 big scores within near enough a 6-month period. Any of these players on your radar, Sam? Any of these players who you've come up against or have seen before?
Dari Poker, I've definitely crossed paths with in the live arena, a very experienced pro, and that'll be nice for him. But I mean, this kind of money, maybe not for Viana, but for all these guys, will be absolutely huge. And I bet not a lot of them didn't get much sleep last night. It's quite, while it's nice to have that break before the final table, it kind of sinks in what you're playing for, and there'll be a few nerves out there today, I'm sure.
Yeah, one player I recognize, Joe, we've seen a fair bit of this player across all of the various online events we've streamed since last summer. That is Lonnie Hallett, aka Thanks for Your Money, from Canada with the V for Vendetta avatar.
Since when are they Lonnie Hallett?
Unmasked.
Taking off that V for Vendetta mask.
Absolutely. I kind of like to think of it like the Masked Singer is like, who is behind the avatar? Who is behind the PokerStars ID? And one by one, we're naming them.
Of course, the Canadian telling everyone good luck. No surprise there.
Ah, that's nice.
Hey, let's just have a good match, okay, everyone?
Yeah, I mean, look at the jumps, by the way. I mean, it's also hard because you become anchored to this new point. It's like 57K is an immense score in a $1,000 tournament. Obviously, way more than a lot of first prizes. But yet, you feel now this is sort of the minimum you deserve in some way. And now you're playing all the way up to the 983, which is a ginormous first prize. I mean, we're beginning to take it for granted a little bit, but that is, to play for that much money in a $1,000 tournament, I mean, it's pretty rare.
It's a ginormous first prize, but also a disgusting discrepancy from 57,000.
Well, look, in previous weeks, we have seen multi-way deals. Let's not forget that 2 weeks ago in the $215 big blowout, we saw a 6-way chop. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility. And of course, chip distribution is going to be a major factor, and who the players are in the final stages of this event will also determine what happens. But it could well be that we see numbers discussed.
No, these guys are gamblers. Look at the avatar, the ATM avatar. No one with a V for Vendetta avatar is doing a deal. No, this is it. They're out. They're out for blood.
Okay.
These guys.
Yeah,
I feel like we're going all the way.
At the table. The wolf is not going to sit down and go, oh, you know, I'll take ICM plus 500.
Yeah, and FVR, interesting. Check calls the King 9 high, which I don't blame him for here. Going to be quite annoying. This is, you see how just a single raise pot is quite significant at this point. 5 million. I don't expect MFP to bluff. I mean, I was going to say this is going to be a once in a lifetime shot for everyone, but as you've FVR kind of killing the hype.
Not exactly.
That I was hoping to do by making it a twice a year experience for him. I mean, very sick.
I mean, it's twice in a lifetime in that these tournament series didn't exist a year ago. So there's that.
Yes.
Well, I mean, suffice to say, as you'd expect, once you get to 1K buy-ins, we are talking high-stakes poker, and we are talking players who are accomplished. We have got numerous players at this final table who've had success in WCOOP over the years. We've got a couple of former Sunday Million champions. So, of course, you know, whilst we see some qualifiers, that doesn't necessarily mean that these are players who are new to these stakes and new to this arena.
Yeah, but not wanting to dampen the Sunday Million, which is, of course, the dream bird just because of how long it's been around and the fact you play it every week. But there's 100K and there's 983K. I mean,
of course,
I can't even... I could imagine spending 100K just about. 983K, I mean, I'd need Joe Stapleton levels of extravagance. I'd need to fly over to LA and hang out with Joe to be able to blow that kind of wedge, you know?
Do you know what I do, Sam? Is I like to eat lobster tails, but as if they were shrimp tails. I bump it up.
I like that. I
to
like
that level.
That's exactly. I knew you'd have creative ideas for how to do it.
You know how someone will eat a bowl of popcorn? For me, truffles. Just a bowl. Just a whole bowl of truffles.
You're just going to rewatch Inception, but you've got, instead of a little bit of popcorn and some M&Ms, you've got truffle. Darry Poker, c-betting here, obviously with the backup of the nut out and to target exactly these kind of mid pairs, it's going to make up a lot of flatting range. Nice from Darry Poker there. I think, again, sign a little bit of his experience. I think you can sort of freeze up early in these first stages, not want to c-bet, not want to relinquish any chips, but accumulation is still important for these guys. And as I said,
Darry Poker, Sam, Vlad Darry, a player who we highlighted just now as a qualifier, got in via a $109 satellite. Bear in mind, Vlad, as you said, you've come up against previously, is a SCOOP winner, won a 2K SCOOP event back in 2018, $1.93 million in live earnings and some decent cashes on the live circuit as well.
Yeah, we see it pretty regularly at the EPTs. And thanks for your money, who you've, as you say, you've unmasked. I don't know in real life, but certainly, as you say, someone that you see very regularly at the tables. But again, not every day that you play, you know, it is just poker. And these guys are going to try and keep that in mind, just play their normal final table strategies. But, you know, there's a certain amount of vertigo when you're playing for this much money, even for very experienced players. I mean, I played one really big final table this year. And yeah, it's particularly when you get the 24 hours break, you're aware that this is significant. And you see FBANA, this is what we expect. Playing a little bit looser, don't think we'd see anyone else at the table open as wide as this. When you're getting King Jack suited to fold on the button, I think it's going to be nice. It's going to try and get away. Dari just having a little think. Does cover FBANA, so you can play a bit closer to chips. Not when you're not covered. Hard for someone to really blast off versus you.
We saw there the notification that the blind levels are now 30 minutes for this final table, and we've just kicked off the 300k, 600k blind level. And there's an ace on the turn, and Vlad has a lock on this.
Yeah, a little bit surprised there from FBANA with the check back. Does keep in some dominated holdings. Don't want to be too results oriented. I don't think Dari Poker was going to bluff this hand with the ace deuce high, so would have picked it up a lot of the time on the turn. And this is a big sizing from FBANA. Dari Poker just balancing the timing tails before calling. And this is going to be a signal of intent from FBANA. I imagine with this combo with the 10 of hearts, he's going to give up. But if he fires, yeah, does make sense to give that up. And Dari Poker off to the strongest start. Tell me about the chip leader, Arbora.
Bra. I think it's pronounced Bra.
So Arbaba, as we established, is playing from Lithuania, got into this via a $109 satellite, a mid-stakes regular. Best online score that we could find was a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, in fact, in the Sunday Million, a second place finish for just shy of 100k.
Nice. That's really nice. Obviously, I remember myself, obviously I'm lucky enough to have a bankroll where I can support sort of buying into 1Ks, but it's definitely, you know, when you're playing the mid-stakes, these juicy 1Ks, you really want to get in. Maybe you have to sell some action, or ideally you satellite in, and rather than stretching the bankroll or feeling like you have to sell, it's really nice to be in there for $100. There are really good satellites to these kind of events, so that's nice for. And you know, it just makes the spin up, it makes the story all the better when you win in the 983 and you say you want a satellite on your way there. It's a great story. I mean, obviously we associate those kind of, you know, people satelliting in and having big wins with, you know, Moneymaker and the kind of live arena, but actually, obviously it happens online all the time. But you're gonna, here we go, Hartigan, chance for the first graphic of the day.
You love it. The pocket rockets shoot across the screen because Gordon D. Reed, who is the short stack at this final table, was the shorty coming in, picks up aces. The chip leader has 10s. It is Domination Nation in Gordon's favor. But there's a 10 on the flop.
No.
And Gordon is not alive. Mr. Reed eliminated in 9th place. Cashes for $57,840, taking us down to 8 as Arbaba extend their chip lead up to 44.5 million now.
Yeah, that's really brutal for Gordon Reed. I hope they take some solace, not only with the big score, but in the fact that they got it in so good. I mean, when you've got under 10 big blinds to find aces and get the call, is really, really the dream scenario on a big, on a huge final table.
And Joe, when we signed off last night, we said that aces getting cracked was very much the narrative of the high roller that we covered yesterday. It happened 3 times at the final table.
Yeah, and as you said, the boy Lex, I mean, he's very humble. Oh, and this is quite a tough peel on a final table, and bit of something for everyone.
Well, Artisanal Sourdough has the advantage right now. Barber better than a 70% favorite.
Yeah, weird board because I think the time bank hit, he might be considering a lead. Obviously, 10s, 9s, 7s are the type of hands that you peel. Thinks better of it.
By the way, we didn't say anything pre-flop, and I guess now the flop's been dealt, we should highlight the fact that Mr. Havener folded 9s.
Oh.
Yes. I mean, that shows the strength you have as the chip leader being able to 3-bet. You get such good hands behind to fold. And this MFP going to feel really pleased that that card's come off.
Yeah, with the straight, MFP makes it 2.1 million into 7.8 million. Barber still drawing to the nut flush.
Yeah, and normally MFP is way ahead, but obviously we can see Arbor with a live hand.
9s.
Mr. Havener would have rivered quads. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, pal.
Somebody needs to let Mr. Havener know what the stars nuts is.
A little bit weird because, of course, if you jam here with a jack, it's a little hard to get called by worse. Obviously, very unlikely Arbor would have 10s or 10-9, or even maybe 8-9 would be the only one that you would 3-bet and check back. But also, if you just jam, exactly, goes for this small bet. I like this a lot. Just giving aces a chance to make a heroic call against, I guess, King, Queen specifically. Or for someone to bluff raise. I would be surprised Arbor to go for it here.
Once this hand has concluded, Sam, and it concludes with MFP shipping the pot, got some inside information on Mr. Havener, which might explain the fold with 9s. Ake Onodora from Brazil, qualified for $109 in a satellite, as we said earlier on, got into that satellite from a free ticket from the Blowout promotion. Best online score to date was in the $11 mini daily kickoff, a 5th place finish for $439. And that is their biggest score to date, and now guaranteed $82,000 on an investment of 0.
Nice work. I mean, making everyone else's careers in poker look absolutely pathetic. Mr. Havener, really, really strong performance. I mean, that definitely, obviously we don't play favorites here in the commentary booth, but a little bit of our hearts will be with Mr. Havener, hoping they spin up. I made a final yesterday, actually, Sick Brags. I made a final of the 1K six-backs, and my girlfriend came in and was like, how you doing? I was on a final. I was like, oh, I was feeling like really good. I was like, I'm on a final. And she was like, oh, Tino's there. And she thinks that Tino is automatically on every final. She's never seen a final table that doesn't have Tino Mulder on it. She thinks it's just like we play through to the final of the tournament where we get to then play against Tino.
Yeah.
So thanks for your money.
Eight players make the final table, Sam, and then we parachute Tino Mulder into the 9th seat.
Sure. And if he takes a day off, Tim Adams is like, it's like if Griff can't do the shift, I'll cover him. Tim's like, yeah, I'll take this one, Tino. Obviously,
I like how nobody asked for that at all. It was like those memes were like nobody, Sam, I made a final table. Also nobody, yes. I have a girlfriend.
Sure. Endless brags. Also, I live with my parents, so.
All right,
very nice.
Here.
Yeah, no fear. I don't see overcards. Thanks for your money. Obviously blocking the king queen, which also sometimes check raises, targeting jack X of clubs and queen jack and stuff. Very, very nice. And no surprise. Thanks for your money.
Oof.
Just a very, very strong player all around. And here we go.
Yes, we've got the chip leader opening with ace queen. We've got kings for Efiana. Meanwhile, ace king in the big blind for MFP.
Yeah, and it's sort of 35 bigs for MFP. We would expect the chip leader to be opening reasonably loose, you know, ace queen, quite a strong hand. So Efiana can be light here for sure. And I wouldn't blame MFP if they shipped it in. That would be the sort of standard play on the final. You would get.
We got some blockers here, guys. I just want to make sure everyone's paying attention to the blocker situation that has developed
here. No one can have kings, for instance. No one can have kings or aces. And here we go. This is huge.
He shoves, assuming our barber folds. Efiana calls all in and is at risk with kings, has to fade the ace. No Greenstein, and Fernando Viana not only doubles up, but also takes the chip lead, is now in the #1 position. Meanwhile, MFP down to 4 million.
Yeah, that's. I mean, firstly, a very, very strong player, assuming chip lead, and that's not. Wow. Dari Poker sort of trying to take advantage of the fact that someone's so short in the small blind. It used to be something we did after a big pot. You can always raise, and everyone's like, "Oh, that was a big pot." Everyone's still shook. This might allow Efiana to sneak in with the fives in position, and MFP going to be hoping for some kind of calf crash. Dari Poker's steal with this pitiful ace 5 off under the gun. Not even artisanal. If I pronounce that correctly.
Just store-bought bakery aisle sourdough.
Yes.
So we've got a pair of kings for thanks for your money. And near enough a 3-1 favorite in this 4-way pot. So yeah, Fernando Viana, who we saw take the chip lead in that all-in coup against MFP. Stadium Series Grand Final winner, a SCOOP winner back in 2017.
I mean,
presumably will fold the fives here. What is actually happening, Sam? I mean, that's a bold continuation bet. Interesting flat.
Well, I think Dari Poker's correctly identifying that the flats on finals tend to be pocket pairs. There is specifically king-queen suited, and maybe even in this position, AD calf doesn't flat king-jack suited. So, you know, they kind of read the situation reasonably well if you actually look at the holdings. And you do have that kind of clean out. Folding out ace-jack is nice and being up against tens for this small price. I think it's a little ambitious. No backup of a flush draw, etc. Put it this way, thanks for your money hating things right now. Not hating things, but you don't feel confident with king-queen. You do realize aces are out there and ace-king, and it's very hard to improve against those two holdings. Will check raise to kind of taking advantage of the fact perhaps that they're the only one with the deuce. I think they would check raise, and if Dari shoved, probably actually fold. But the hand plays a bit cleaner like this as a check raise. And again, this is just a lot of confidence from thanks for your money to have a sense of where they are in the hand and feel like, you know, a lot of these guys have done a bit of work on multi-way, but maybe you don't play calls there. Maybe you only play check raise because the hands you want to continue with is so narrow that maybe your range is just strong enough to check raise and you just fold, let's say, king 9. But that's a big pot for thanks for your money. Very big pot.
Yeah, up to 20 million now. Arbaba and Efiana pretty much tied for the chip lead. And it is Fernando Viana who's opening here with ace-9 to 1.2 million. Arbaba with 8-6 of diamonds in the big.
Got a great question here from Fifth Aid. Do they respect your raises at this level?
You can't find a table where they respect your raises anymore. Yeah, those days are gone. I mean, one thing that I think we're already seeing is this is going to be quite some action. You know, we've seen our Barbara pushing the action a little bit, 3-betting the ace-5. Darry Poker making wide opens, loose continuation bets. And, you know, that was a bit of a traffic jam of a hand just then. And it seemed, you know, there's one way this final could go where everyone tenses up and we don't see much action. But I think the way it's going to go is that there's going to be a lot of excitement here. Particularly, by the way, with FBR chip lead pushing the action. Yeah, I think it's going to be very tasty.
Well, this hand is going to decide the chip lead. And right now, ace high is best. Our Barber, having missed a straight draw, knows the only way they can potentially win it is by bluffing. Alternatively, could just surrender.
Wow, that's some Mike. It's channeling some Mike Sexton. The only way they can win it is to bluff. It's quite difficult with this combo just because of the properties it has. And I think that's why our Barbara is taking their time. But that said, you don't have many worse hands than this. You're going to have the 6-4 suited and 6-3 suited. Kind of hard, like a flush would want to go big, but it's not nice to go big with 2 diamonds in your hand. And does think better of it. And now the question is, just for FBR, whether they want to bluff, try and target a hand like 5-4 of clubs. Obviously, we know this bluff is sort of redundant, given the holding our Barbara has. But unless, yeah.
Oh, and it worked. Got 8 high to full. Well done.
Fernando Viana back in the #1 spot and could be about to KO the player that he just doubled up through. Ace King for Viana and Ace Jack for MFP. Super short, might just make a move here.
Yeah, I mean, Viana, if they win this all in, not going to be on MFP's Christmas card list because this is just very brutal.
OMFP
King high
later.
Flop. Drawing dead on the turn, and XMFPX is the second player eliminated from this final table, our 8th place finisher. $82,421. Congratulations to the remaining 7, all guaranteed more than $100,000 now. And
yeah,
Fernando Viana extends his chip lead up to 46 million, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge. And as we've seen, you know, as we highlighted right at the top of the show, FBR, very experienced, will know how to use this chip lead, how to capitalize on this chip lead. And, you know, you don't normally feel sorry for someone that wins $82,000. So, you know, that is a huge score. But MFP not run very well on this final table. 2 very, very unfortunate situations going against them. So, you know, they'll be feeling, at least, again, 2 people that busted have got it in very, very standard situations and will take some consolation from that fact.
And by the way, Sam, anytime that one can channel the late, great Mike Sexton, they absolutely should. And I would like to point out that in 11 minutes' time, the price of poker will be going up, Vincent.
So, Mr. Havana, who's now bagged, improved on their $400 best ever result to now locked up 117K and $48 more than that. Does have a double gut shot here with Darry Poker having the top pair, and 8 would be a big, big card on the turn for our qualifier. I presume they'll just continue by check call. Darry Poker might sort of exploitably size down a little bit here if they recognize the background Havana's from. And generally, you would go quite big here with the King 8, but decides to check back against someone that's going to be playing a bit of a tighter strategy. Hard. You definitely can't go 3 straight with the King 8 against Havana. And now Havana with Jack high. 9 obviously is a good card for the big blind. Going to have check called a lot of 9x. Will bluff.
Wow. Love it. You can imagine the crowd wanted the 8, of course. They wanted to see Glad Darry improve to 2 pair. They wanted Mr. Havana to make their straight on the river. But we will accept this jack high bluff. And is it going to get through?
Yeah, I think against a lot of people, Daria Poker, against Efiana, it would just be a call like that. Mr. Havenar, with this sizing, it's very, very credible. Even offering the discount, the $3.99 discount that normally represents value. And Daria Poker showing that they're attuned to the player type they're up against. This is a big moment. I love to see this get through
Also,
for Mr. Havenar.
Was Dari watching the first hand?
Won't have gone out yet.
All right.
Haven't caught up with the delay yet. They've got another 5 minutes.
Wow. Very nice play from Havenar. Unconventional fold from Dari Poker. Obviously, you know, we concede a card. It looks like a big misstep, but very credible repping the 9 there. I think they picked an excellent sizing. Smaller than that, and Dari Poker would certainly have picked off that bluff. So nice first big pot to Havenar, and they'll take a lot of confidence from that, I think.
Mr. Didn't having it.
What's the avatar? Do you have a read, Joe Stapleton?
My guess is that it's
guy.
Mr. Havenar.
You think that's him?
I think
Just
that's him.
Wow.
Oh, Mr. Havenar has raised the button with ace-8 suited. Milanov calls with king-9. Apologies, the raise actually came from the chip leader, or former chip leader, Arbaba, who has top pair. Milanov also with top pair. We have got kicker issues for Arbaba.
Yeah, a little bit weird because you don't really want to build a pot with Jack-9. But on the other hand, this 9 does need protection. She picks quite a chunky sizing. And Havenar going to be tempted to float.
Yeah, just looking at Milanov's stack though, Sam, and thinking that the shortest stack at the table.
Ooh, what's this
and
call?
with that dead money, this is a great spot to potentially check raise all in.
Yeah, and the backup of the king of clubs kicker. With the Nirvana avatar. Come as you are. There we go. And now Arbora has a little bit of a decision. This is the problem with this chunky sizing. You've really strengthened your opponents where Havenar could have a set potentially. I mean, you just call and fold if Havenar does anything, but it's not an inviting situation. And it comes from this sort of big sizing c-bet. We'll call.
And king-9 holds. That is a double up for Milanov, who now has 20 million. And what a turnaround for Arbaba. We have been playing less than half an hour, and this player has gone from chip leader, still comfortable with near enough 26 million, but not the powerhouse they once were.
Yeah, that was just a little bit of a small mistake perhaps. Although, let's be honest, you know, Milanov didn't have to have the king-9 in the big blind. There's plenty of other holdings. You know, there's plenty of times that c-bet would have got through. A little bit of a cooler against a short stack, which you have to pay off. But we'll see how our Barbara recovers. So important to keep you cool at these big finals. Obviously, we don't have an insight to the psychology of these players, but, you know, it's a big psychological test playing for this much money, having gone to bed as chip leader. You know, you've got to be careful not to like measure your stack too much to feel like, oh, I was chip leader and be annoyed that you're third in chips. Well, I had 35 million, now I have 20 million and be annoyed. You just got to keep your equilibrium throughout the final.
We don't know much about their psychology, but I'm willing to bet at least 3 of them have daddy issues.
You have a good radar for that, Joe Stapleton, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
Spotting that.
Want to have a catch?
Milanov here with the snowmans.
Nom, 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 nom.
However, thanks for your money with pocket 9s. Lonnie Hallett in Canada, a Sunday Millions specialist who also has a WCOOP title.
Yeah, so I think for chips, this is a clear 3-bet. What do you want to do on the final, though? If you 3-bet and get shoved on, how are you going to feel about that? And that's what Thank for Your Money is thinking through. It's very delicate spot. Does elect to 3-bet with what we could see is the dominating holding. And now
So
Milanov with the decision. And eights, it's very uncomfortable.
That's a good one for it.
I think all three decisions are in play. Fold, call, and shove are all possible here.
Calls, and we have a 10-10-4 flop, which could be dangerous for eights.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it'll dampen the aggression a little bit if we imagine that the flatting range does have some 10x. Certainly, thanks for your money, going to want to start by betting for protection with these nines, just to fold out some overcards.
Near enough 2 million into 8.2 million.
Yeah, 5-1 on your money. Milanov can't really be folding here. Definitely going to be some bluffs with just sort of one overcard in thanks for your money's range.
5 of diamonds on the turn. Things not looking good for Milanov. 8-8-8 with 8-8.
Yeah, well, exactly. I should have. They obviously can't fold pocket eights when their name is Milanov 888. I wouldn't be surprised to see an 8 on the river. They predicted it all those years ago in their screen name. They predicted the 3 8s. So, you know, ace, queen of hearts, queen, jack of hearts, going to be hands that are certainly in play for Milanov. And Milanov not going to bluff, hoping to be against ace, king. You'd imagine that this pretty significant pot just going to be shipped comfortably to thanks for your money. I can't imagine a value bet here.
And Milanov down to 14 million. Not the shortest stack at the final table. Adcaf playing a stack of 11.6. The only player right now with a sub 20 big blind stack.
Yeah, and I think there we see the class of thanks for your money. It takes a lot of confidence to 3-bet the pocket nines there and to be able to, you know, negotiate, to want to build the pot, to feel confident to build the pot in position. A lot of people want a flat, you know, it allows the big blind to come in, can actually be slightly higher variance to flat or you know, recognize the strength of nines, you know, being a bit results oriented, obviously lucky that they were up against eights and rewarded with a large pot. And again, another strong player at the table like FBiana building a stack.
Well, Adcaf had the dominating hand pre and has flopped top pair. They both have the same straight draw. And aggression from Vlad Dari.
Yeah, and this is a turn card that's going to be better for Dari Poker's range than Adcaf's. They're going to have the king, the overcards, the queen nines and king queens that sort of bluff the flop. Adcaf's going to have a lot of 8x and 7x, some 7x and 8x that will fold the turn. What we've seen of Dari Poker, well, I was going to say, I think they might fire again. Elects not to. And Adcaf with a quick check back.
So we've got a pot of 6.8 million. Adcaf the effective stack here with 9 behind. And we didn't get the second barrel on the turn, Sam. Are we going to see a bluff on the river from Vlad? Yes.
Yep.
And this line sort of repping 10x, so Adcaf can't fold. You're saying that you've got a 10 basically. So when you kind of chop or you know, when you have the same strength that even your opponent's value bets are representing, you have to call. So quite a standard call for Adcaf, but a nice spot for them, moving ahead of Havana and Milanov Poker in terms of the rankings.
Thanks for your money. Opening here with 10-8 suited. Raise and take it. Next blind level, 350k, 700k.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen FViana pick up any kind of hand for the last little bit, but I really think that when they do pick up a hand, we're going to see a lot of aggression because the stacks are very, very bunched together. There is a lot of, you don't want to bust with even 24 million when there's people with 14 million. You don't want to bust with 18 million when there's someone 60. They're very grouped together, and FViana is really going to be able to take advantage of that if they get, ace-x, suited kings, suited queens, and the like.
Oh, might be able to take advantage of Mr. Havener.
Oh, 2-pair versus a straight. Blind v blind, unraised pre.
Yeah, and so nice to have a straight on this board because there's so many pair plus straight draw, pair plus backdoor flush draw that can pay down the streets to unblock all the pairs. And I really hope having a nice check call from Mr. Havener, and we get a turn card that will slow everything down. Very, very nice play from them to not, overvalue bottom two in this exact situation. And FViana may even check back. There's going to be a lot of queen 9, queen 10 in the check call range. Feels confident to go for another bet.
Yeah, 2.45 into 4.1.
Feeling really that Mr. Havener will just play honest versus the sizing.
Calls and a brick on the river.
Interesting to see whether it goes check, check. Yeah.
So that's a decent pot for Fernando Viana, who's up over 50 million now. Worth highlighting that FViana has near enough a 2-to-1 advantage on the player who's second on the leaderboard, really putting some distance between himself and the rest of the field, as you just alluded to, Sam. I want to answer a quick question from YouTube. Dane says, is there any minimum prize money that they would still have to play for if a deal were made? For example, 10%, because that's still super sizable. The answer to your question is yes, they do have to play it out, and $50,000 is the minimum that they would have to set aside. So we did say earlier on that we have seen deals done, I think, at all 3 of the previous big blowouts, a 6-way deal in the second week, but whether it's 2 players chopping, 4 players chopping, or 6 players crunching the numbers, crucially, 50K would have to be set aside, and they would play it out, and the winner would get that extra 50,000.
It's sort of
that
like
doesn't even include
PokerStars
the dealer tip.
Yeah, it's like PokerStars is a strict teacher. You guys are going to stay exactly where you are, and you're going to play it out for $50,000, and you're not free to go until someone wins $50,000. So let that be a lesson to you guys. Just because you've done a deal, the deal does not dismiss you. I dismiss you, says James Hartigan.
Well, not me. I don't make these decisions.
Back in the day, our old school grinders will remember this. You had to call for a moderator, and like Bill or Jane would appear in chat and be like, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. My boy Viana he's not letting you get one through, sneak one through with threes while he's got the chip lead. We're going to see more of this. I'm sure of it from Viana. Any playable blockers, he is going to be going after people, and they're going to have to adjust. You can't really open the threes there, I don't think, into the chip leaders button. Bad card removal. And these guys are going to have to adjust to having a very, very strong chip leader acting after them. Certainly much nicer for Thanks for Your Money, who is acting after Viana, who'd be opening wide, than, say, Mr. Havener or ADK CAF opening into the chip leader.
So, Sam, you were remembering the days of when mods would be called to the table to orchestrate deal negotiations. For the major events, you used to get like celebrities like Lee Jones come in and oversee the shop.
Wow, going straight for the biggest of names. Yeah, they pop in and be like, hi, and they give you a little congratulations as well. Like it'd be like, AA Akari says, well done, Sam, congrats on your score, or be little, yeah, that's definitely underrated. Joe Stapleton, there's a good job for you. You don't have much work right now,
I
Joe
don't
Stapleton
like jobs.
Yeah, fair enough. So Gary Poker, this king, very, very good for the pre-flop raiser. We saw them play quite loose on flops and then a bit more controlled on turns. But I think this king is very hard to resist and follows the same sort of routine, betting the flop, checking back the turn. And Arbora in a little bit of a weird spot with the 10 and king coming off. Perhaps you could employ a blocker bet. Very weird hand strength. And Dari Poker, not necessarily putting his opponent on a hand like nines, but could target a 4-5, 4-8, you know, even a 7 versus a river bet here of 3 million is turned into a bluff catcher. Doesn't go for it. Little surprised from Dari Poker there.
So
given they'd open under the gun.
Back into second position on the leaderboard, 27.5 million, and now picks up queens in the small blind. Thanks for your money with Jack 9 on the button.
Very disciplined fold from Thanks for Your Money. I think these guys, Dari Poker, shying away from the bluff and Thanks for Your Money folding there. Shows they are becoming attuned to how closely bunched they are. Realizing they've got to play a little bit tighter. I don't think you can fold the 8-10 suited.
No.
It's not like 10-9 suited where you get a 1-round penalty, but still, it's within the realm of must-play hands.
It's not a major crime, but it's a crime.
Yeah, it's a misdemeanor charge at least. You know, it's like a small thing like, I don't know, vandalism, larceny, shoplifting. Not really a crime.
Parking ticket.
Yeah.
So glad that we've got Judge Grafton here to determine what is and what isn't a crime.
Economic crimes, not crimes. I remember we used to be backed by Pierce Hines, me and Feraldo, and Pierce and Produce, and but Feraldo was really bitter that they'd got lucky enough to luck box this money, so they had to back him. And he just used to say, "Yeah, I steal." He used to tell them, "Yeah, I steal $10 from accounts all the time. I just withdraw it all the time. I'll just buy myself an ice cream just to let you guys know." And they're like, "Yeah, I'll allow it. Nothing I can do." Very nice fold, by the way, from Dari Poker. Dari Poker just folded the 10 on the turn there. Really, I mean, we saw them make an incorrect, slightly hero fold against Havana. There, you know, realizing that Arbora not going to be raising into him blind on blind too liberally and checking the ace high flop, feeling that they had exactly that type of hand. Very, very nice fold from Dari Poker.
We get a 3-bet here after the button raise from Arbaba with King 10. Adcaf harnessing the spirit of the wolf and re-raising here with Ace 8 of spades.
And Arbora just considering them that they're getting a very, very good price. But can't imagine that Adcaf is doing it with such a merge range as you know, a merge range which includes a hand like Ace 8. So it does fold. I don't blame them for that. Here we go. Here's a must-play hand, Joe Stapleton. We'd be getting the mods
Queen
involved.
Jack suited?
Lee Jones
This is
will
a
appear
must fold.
and say,
Hold on.
Lee Jones will
Hold on.
appear and say, you folded Queen Jack suited, 1-round penalty.
No. You can't change the Grafton rule midway through the same series. We established it's 10-9 suited. You can't,
especially because Queen Jack suited is a fold in every situation.
Yeah,
and it is a crime to play this hand.
And this is exactly why people have been tightening up a little bit. Thanks for your money, making a tight fold on the button. Very frustrating when you get attacked like this. Gonna suspect that Arbora is perhaps getting a little bit out of line. Some of the bluffs do include maybe a hand like King Jack off, which we saw FBR, and that's the problem with Queen Jack suited. You're dominated by the value, occasionally pipped by the bluffs, as of course Ace 9 slightly ahead. And Thanks for Your Money having a think about what to do, does lay it down. And you see the power of position, and being the covering stack. And the players that, you know, are attuned to that are the ones that are going to make the most money on this final table. Very nice play from our Barbara.
Well, Thanks for Your Money's going to try again, opening with Kojak, but Adkaf, Spirit of the Wolf, has ace, queen of strawberries.
Wow, looks inviting.
Let's see if Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah, I think flat is standard. Jam, definitely an option, but elects to flat.
And King 9 suited comes along for the ride as well. Three-way to an 8-5-3 flop, two clubs.
Yeah, Thanks for Your Money going to be a little bit worried about sevens, fives, eights, hands like that. Does have the king of clubs, sort of blocking king jack of clubs, king queen of clubs. You know, and you see that how important these finals are. Even sort of standard spots like, shall I continuation bet or not? You know, when you put 2.7 million out there, it's a big deal. And don't know that I like that fold with the backdoor hearts.
Snap fold.
Yeah, I think if you are going to flat, you have to play a little bit more tough than that. Nice play from Thanks for Your Money, getting it done.
And now it's our Barber opening with King Queen. King 9 of spades for Vlad Dari.
Nah.
And this is a rough and tumble final. Dari, I think, considering whether they wanted to 3-bet.
Now Milanov also folds, and Milanov and Mr. Havana tied for last place right now.
Yeah, and it's almost frustrating when you've got, I imagine Havana are going to play a reasonably conservative strategy. You kind of want a short stack to be someone wild and reckless who's going to get it in loosely. And I don't think that fits the profile of what we've seen from Havana thus far. And it's going to mean, you know, these middle stacks have to play conservatively. Thanks for Your Money with pocket threes. Again, a hand that for chips would jam, but elects to just call against the covering stack.
Sam, what are they playing for if not for chips? You meaning because you have to play for the whole stack here?
Yes, I think that.
What does that mean?
If you were just concerned with what makes you the most chips, like that 3 million out there, the best thing to do is just shove. And, you know, they have to fold king 9, king 8, queen 9, all these hands. That's a great result. Now, on a final, because everyone else makes money if you bust, and, you know, the cost of busting is so much higher, you're playing for dollars, not just chips. You know, it's not a play money game. Yes. The three little initial. Yeah, go on. Go ahead, James.
No. What you're going to say is more important. I've just come up with a format for a TV show.
Is it we explain things to children, or we explain? It's like Joe Stapleton says. What's the difference between countries and continents? And then I explain to him in very simple. It's like children say the funniest things, but it's Joe Stapleton asking questions about geography.
It involves Twitch chat, so in a way, yes. Basically, we talk about Judge Grafton. I want to see Sam react to some of the analysis and commentary from the grinders in the chat and make a ruling on whether they should have their chat privileges revoked.
Right, yeah, the Saturday chat grinders. Thanks for Your Money picking that spot to go after Viana's open. And this is what I'm saying. It's much nicer to be acting after the chip leader who's got those loose ranges and be 3-betting than opening into him and getting flatted and 3-bet. And Thanks for Your Money taking advantage of just that situation. It's nice actually to see someone that you play with quite often with the whole cards up, sort of have a sense of whether someone's good or not. But I think we can see Thanks for Your Money playing a very confident final table. I was going to say earlier, actually, but there was a little bit of action about Lex's score. He tweeted about his result, and actually my brother follows him on YouTube, so he told me that he had a result. Tweeted, about playing with all these tough competition and how much he respects everyone and blah, blah, blah. But, I tell you what, Lex is playing very, very well these days. He's obviously worked on his game very, very hard. And, putting together, I saw at the beginning of the show, you highlighted his results. And he's putting together, this isn't just variance, He might be experiencing a bit of positive variance and previously had a bit of negative variance. But, there's a reason Lex is getting these results. I think he's playing and competing at the very, very highest level these days. And with the added pressure of chat and streaming, that's really, really remarkable. Yeah. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. A lot of credit.
He gets plenty of credit. He's doing fine.
Yes, he does. Oh, dear. Yeah, he probably does.
I don't think there's any other. I don't think Lex is a big enough deal yet.
He's got his own series named after him. That's ridiculous. There's no Joe Stapleton Poker Tour, is there?
No, there is not.
Stapleton. There should be a comedy circuit named after you. The Joe Stapleton Comedy Tour.
High stakes poker.
There you go. There it is.
9s and 6s.
Yeah, very deceptive check on the river here from Adcaf.
Spirit of the Wolf. And that's going to take us to the first break. The players get a 5-minute hiatus, but we continue with cards up coverage of the Blowout Series because there is one other event still to play down to a winner, and that is the 1K PKO Series Saver, a $1 million guaranteed event with a $1.4 million prize pool, 75 players remaining, including Andre Akari sharing a table right now with Xiao Vieira, NASA114, and Andy Wilson, Bowie Effect, who I think I saw in the chat earlier.
Legend.
Sam, did you know that Andre...
Brutal.
Oh, you've been demoted.
Yeah, I love that. He's replaced Sam Grafton with an Oasis album cover. What does that say?
Rock and roll lifestyle that we both lead. Me and Noel Gallagher, basically the same. Basically the same people.
As you were.
And this is very good flop for the slightly speculative 6-5 suited. By the way, I'm loving seeing A.A. Akari back in the streets a little bit more. He was on the final table I was on yesterday, by the way. And little bit unorthodox check back here, improving to trips. 100% equity here. And Akari going to feel like this 3 is quite often good. These low boards, much better for the big blind. Hard to fathom that your opponent, the pre-flop raiser, has a 6. Not many 6s get open. Most 6s get bet on the flop.
So actually 92 players remaining right now from a starting field of 1,397.
Just a full house on the river.
Yeah.
MBD.
Good, better, best.
Bested.
Andre Akari is my favorite professional poker player whose name sounds like a video game system since Blairy Nintendo.
And this is just going to seem a little odd to Akari. What fours, pocket 4s or 5s specifically? Just giving Akari and does pay off.
Going to be left short now. I cannot wait, by the way, for the 16-bit version of the Akari as we get the raise from Andy Wilson with King Queen, and now we have the pocket rockets, which deceptively flat, Samuel.
Right. Slow plays all round for Yagri Balav. And
I mean, you can do that if you just think you make big hands all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're just like, full house, ace, you just slow play everything.
Why bet one pair when you can just wait for trips on the turn and then bet it really big when you make your full house, Barry effect, not necessarily putting his opponent on a hand like aces, but 9s and 8s. You know, we saw it on the final table. You know, the pocket pairs being the first hands that you flat in position here. And without a heart, I don't think Andy, I don't know, he's got these DTO sims he likes. Maybe you're supposed to shove 5% of the time. You never know with these young geniuses what they're going to get up to. But I assume a man of my conventional tastes. Well, we just tuned into the Yagri Balav show. He's going to
Clearly
iron out Akari now.
Well, Akari gets it in with ace-10, and assuming that the snowman's call, we're going to be off to the races, and it's a flip that Andre needs to win to survive. His bounty in
like
play.
Dick Dug versus Joust.
No ace, no 10. Andre Akari eliminated, out in 92nd place in the series saver as we go back to the 1K big blowout with 7 players remaining, competing for a first prize of nearly $1 million. 2 short stacks, Milanov and Mr. Havana. Then we got the players around the 30 big blind mark, a couple of players around the 40 big blind mark, but it is last year's Stadium Series Grand Final champion, Fernando Viana, who is the chip leader right now with 73 big blinds. Everyone guaranteed at least 117K, huge jumps along the way, and that first prize of $983,000. Back to the action, commentary from Sam Grafton and Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my baby. 7 players remain in the final big blowout of the first ever Blowout Series. Joe Stapleton, Sam Grafton. Everyone now guaranteed $117,000. 6,922 total entries. Here we go.
Yeah, maybe against the chip leader. I don't want to be too results oriented. You know, we can see the cards. Might be a nice spot
maybe a
to shove here. Yeah, maybe just go for it here. Shove. You are the shortest stack, and it's just nice to put it in and not face these kind of difficult situations. Good chance Fiana isn't gonna bluff Milanov here. I mean, you do represent a very strong range when you flat here under the gun 1. Maybe Milanov
when you don't get it in pre-flop though with this hand and you miss, it's pretty tough to make money though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, you keep in a dominated hand like ace-8, which is going to pay a little bit when you hit the ace. But yeah, you know, it's different people's
right. Hitting is fine. Anybody can play when they hit.
Yes. I've got to say, the break was a little bit brutal for Andre Akari fans, right? Just 5 minutes of watching his dream shattered. I guess it'll be okay still. Andre
I'm guessing
Akari's
it did not save his series.
Yes. seeing Andre Akari's series unsaved. And Fiana, again here, a hand you could flat, a hand you could play more aggressively. Will just call.
7 high flop, 1 club, ace high out in front.
Yeah. No backup of flush or straight draws, but you do have all the overpairs here, which Fiana presumably doesn't. You definitely want to tamper your aggression when playing against the chip leader. And Fiana, considering, will call and may
Another
even think about leading.
Turn.
Yeah.
Club draw now
5-6.
as well as a wheel draw.
Yeah, 5-6 comes in, which only the big blind has. 4-3 they have, the opener doesn't have. And Fiana thinking about leading here, I think that would be quite nice. Knocking out hands exactly like the ace-8, maybe some king-queens with back, you know, king-jacks that dominate you, does lead. And this kind of strategy is very hard to play against when you have a liberal c-betting range. And Derry Poker might not even believe this, right? You know, you might even suspect your opponent is at it. But what can you do with ace-8? Can Derry Poker do something? No, they can't. And nice play from Viana. Obviously, a fortuitous.
You know what the rest of the table is thinking right now? They're thinking FF Viana. Major chip leader.
Yeah, and this is
Got the
obviously
open here.
why it's so nice to have 52 million and to be able to muck around with these guys. You've got chips to spare a little bit. And again, a spot where Milanov could think about the all-in pre or might take a more conservative option. What do you think, Joe?
You
Just
ooh. Just calls.
Yeah.
Eights are good. 1 over. 2 clubs. Ace of clubs belongs to Ababra. Rabra.
Yeah.
Rabra? That's pronounced Brabra.
Baba. And don't think
Oh, yeah,
Milanov
it's a little
should fold.
num-num.
Num
Oh,
num.
you know, the 888, finally! Finally, the screen name plays over.
Ocho. Well done.
Yeah. New was like, maybe if I call myself Milanov 888, one day I'll hit a nice turn card.
Oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble for you saying 888. Oh, I just said it. Full
know
house
what that
on the
refers
river. Me
Yeah,
neither.
obviously we could see Arbor with nothing. Does beat 4-5 or 4-6, something like that. An ace-4, which may not bluff. You know, you block the flush draw. Quite hard to think that you're going to pay here.
Milanov with a crucial pot. Back up over 16 million.
Yeah, and leaves our hero, Mr. Havana, who obviously satellited in for an absurdly small amount of money as the shortest stack. We're kind of semi-rooting for them to pick up a few hands on this big final.
So there's a lot of folks in chat sort of claiming Mr. Havner as a BBZ student, which is great. But it just leads me to believe, like, if this dude that's playing free rolls and satellites is paying for coaching, what shot do the rest of us have? Like, this guy's a free roll player, and he's part of a stable?
Well, maybe it's just that, like, they bought the packs, or, like, obviously BBZ does have, I don't think they're necessarily, well, maybe they're saying he's part of he or she is part of a stable. I'd be surprised at that if they're playing free rolls. Might be a bit of fake news in chat. Who knows? Who knows?
Pocket 4 is holding after this flop.
Yeah, and FBANA pressurizing, even on a board that's very, very good for the flatter.
Yeah, another
This
weird
is something
spot
about-
for a pocket pair.
Yeah, this is something. Also, like, if you hit
man.
the four of spades, it's not as good, right? Yeah.
Right.
And here we go. Confrontation time, perhaps.
Sam, do you have one? Do you have a sick classic race?
I was going to get in there with Romario versus Babetto when Akari was all in, but you beat me to it. What do
Like
we do?
Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah. Yes.
One of these two hands has a slight mathematical advantage. Will it all go in pre-flop?
I can't. I mean, there was a time to flat.
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy race.
And Adcap is going to
Thy
know
ace
this
king
is
come. Thy tournament be done.
And Adcap is just having
As
to
it
think
is
about
always
this.
coming 7.
This is always ace king. No. I mean, it's just frustrating. It's like you almost know what your opponent's hand is here, and it's very annoying to be flipping.
There's the big flip. Queen's holding. Queen's no longer holding. Queen's eliminated. Adcaf gone. Out in 7th. 6-figure score. $117,000. Don't say poor Sam. There's no analysis to be done. Pre-flop on an ace king versus queens. 30 big blinds effective. Don't pity him. He can deal with a prayer poem for a few seconds. 6 players remain. You watch that Blowout Series.
That was some of your best stuff, Joe. I didn't want to talk over it. So I think Dari, again, just deciding what to do. Mike thinking, can I get the same thing done by raising? Elects the shove, which is somewhat standard, I think, with the king high.
Especially against Mr. Havner, who's having her laugh. Laddering up again. Now guaranteed $167,000.
I think even someone like from you know, a bit earlier will realize that they could be a little bit free at getting it in as short stack. Obviously, we've moved up to 167K now. No one, I mean, Dari Poker and Milanov, you know, not comfortable, but no one looking to bust. I mean, this limp, hard to get through against the chip leader, but does check and flops the gut shot.
Havner checks.
Yeah, might have been a spot to just bet the king high. I mean, your opponent can't have an ace. Every ace shoves.
King high may be looking good. Any shot Havner gets to showdown, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Fiana with the nut low near enough. Will start to bet. Would bet a 4 probably here. Possibly here for protection. Certainly would bet an 8. I think Havner does have to call. Now it's actually a chopped pot. Unbelievably. It's hard to see, but that Fiana actually doesn't need to bluff. Will get half the pot versus king queens and queen jacks and the like. Might just go for it though. I mean, they represented a 4 or 8 on the turn. Particularly at 4, might have bet 1 big blind, but will pick up. And you know what they say, Joe?
Everyone loves a chop pot.
Wow, I love that. I can't believe you missed it. For the first of the final as well. No, it's nice that you didn't put me through it. So Dari Poker will raise. I think trying to take advantage of the fact that Viana is in the small blind. And look at this, even with Queen 6 off, having a little think. You definitely want to build your opening range on a final around Ace X. That blocker more and more crucial the deeper you go into a tournament.
Action folds around to Mr. Havner, who is one of the Havner knots. The shortest stack left in this tournament shoves Queen Jack. Milanov in a domination situation.
Yeah, and Milanov won't be loving this, but I think you are going to have to call. It's definitely going to be a lot of suited aces. I might not expect Queen Jack off, but definitely enough hands you're ahead of.
2 aces on the flop pretty much locks it up for Milanov. No runner, no funner. Mr. Havner out in 6th, $167,000. 5 players remain. Still all vying for that nearly $1 million up top.
Yeah, I mean, in from a free roll, that's just an amazing score. I mean, to be honest, they've made a mistake, whoever's doing the money. We just take 17K off 5th place. Give them 220, no problem. Give them 220. They're happy in 5th. They're not going to know. No one's going to check the prize structure. You just move in, tweak it around, and give us a 1 mil.
If there's one thing we know about poker players, Sam, is that they definitely don't comb all the fine print of every tournament ever looking for discrepancies.
Twitter outrage.
And places where something without, exactly.
Yeah.
Milanov under the gun, ace queen off. Agree, Fuckmastic. Queen Jack, the worst hand. Never, ever. Great job, though, for IK Onodera. Satellited in. Best online score up to that point, $439.
Yeah, and this is really big for everyone left at the table. It's so nice. I can't tell you. You feel all this tension. You're the middle stack. You're negotiating, a very, very strong chip leader. When a short stack busts, gets it in dominated, nothing silly, no funny business, the best hand holds, and you move up the pay jump. Even for experienced pros like Thanks for Your Money and Derry Poker, so nice to, make so much money via doing not very much, basically.
Fuckmastic asks, where did Lex finish? He finished at home. Thank you for your question. Button raise here from Fabiana, Ace Jack.
Yeah, I think thinking about getting out of line, Thanks for Your Money. Don't think they'll go for it, but it does tend to be like the bluffs are like high card, low card, unblocking the folds. Does go for it. And, the weird thing is this reps a hand that beats Ace Jack. So you're opening very wide on the button, but you don't necessarily know your opponent's going for it like this. And because of that, flats the Ace Jack.
10-4 trade, 2 spades. 11 million in the middle.
Yeah. Don't try this at home. This is what's difficult when you get flatted and now you've got an 11 million chip.
Sorry, I just have to argue with Sam for a second. Please, we're on lockdown. Do try this at home. Don't go anywhere else to try this.
Yes.
We're trying to kill a virus here.
Just think of others. Think of the NHS and do try this at home. So Epiana, a little bit weird. I think if they had the ace or jack of spades would definitely float. One of the things is the bluffs are hands like king 4, king 3. And, from that sort of lower quadrant on you imagine all the possible hands. And Epiana, not necessarily a believer, but in a weird spot with ace jack, does think better of it. And Thanks for Your Money, getting out of line, getting creative, and padding their stack, putting distance between themselves and Milanov, distance between themselves and Derry Poker. Very nice from the Canadian.
And just before the blinds go up, now 400,000, 800,000. Efiana right back in action. Ace 10 suited, takes it down pre-flop. Jack 9 now. 10s for Milanov. Tommy says, GTO says fold pre. Thanks for Your Money says 3-bet out of position. And then says, thanks for your money.
I think GTO says you could do that once in a while. You're not supposed to do it full combo, but I don't know. Who needs GTO anyway? He won the pot. That's, let's have a bit of old school common sense. He won 11 million chips. Nice play.
Speaking of old school, how about a shove with 7 deuce here? That would be pretty old school.
That kid did it on the EPT, right? And almost ended that guy's career.
Well, I mean, that was a multi-street bluff, but it was awesome. That's for sure.
That was awesome, yeah.
Ace Jack suited now for Efiana.
Yeah, 3 or 4x appropriate here, opening into the shorter stack. Just goes for the min.
How about 2?
There we go. Shouldn't be so strong on my predictions.
Come on,
trying to
come on.
That does
8
get
high
some
flop,
action.
2 diamonds. Not much for Milanov. Not even a belly buster.
Feels like you got something though, right? You got a heart, you got a diamond, you got 3. Basically, the 6 of diamonds, you got a big hand, is what we're saying. 9 of diamonds also.
Just enough to put a couple more chips in. Yeah, there we go.
Let's go.
1.4.
This we haven't seen from Milanov 888, but taking the betting lead, taking the initiative, and picking up a gut shot.
Now we got the belly buster. Gamer asks, Joe, do you know their previous big cash, or do we have to wait for James? Yes, thank you for your question.
Come on, Milanov. Let's go, bro. Far. Yeah. How you like that, chip leader? with your ace-jack suited.
I mean,
Epiana, of course, with the wheel draw as well, butchering ace-jack. I take back everything I've said about Epiana. No, obviously very good player in all aspects apart from with ace-jack. That's the one weakness in Epiana's game. Can play really, really strong poker, but ace-jack, absolutely clueless.
Milanov, whose best online score to date was $11,597, takes it down with the bluff on the turn.
I mean, this is a lot bigger than that. It's funny how I mean, 11,000 is a lot of money still in the outside the poker economy, but 238 already locked up. That is something very special.
Pocket fives now for Milanov. Going to be raising the big blind of Dari Poker, whose best online score is a first place in a SCOOP 8 max for $240,000.
There we go. How frustrated are they going to be if they make $238,000 and don't even get a best ever score? They're going to be like
furious. They'll probably just say keep it.
Yeah, like Ivy just tipped the whole amount. They'll be like, it's the reverse of what I said. They're like, can you not take 2K off the top first prize? No one's going to know. 981K and just give me my
It's already
best
under
ever
$1 million. It doesn't matter at this point.
Exactly, it's nothing.
Milanov betting into a pair of sevens.
Yeah, a little bit on the big sizing for a man of my taste here. Might force a fold from a 7 here. Very weird holding.
Nope.
Calls. And I tell you what I would love to see is Milanov barreling here. 8-9, 7-9. I mean, Dari Poker, you know, perhaps shouldn't have even defended the Queen 7. So think of all the 7x, 8x that you force folds from on the turn. Would love to see Milanov go for it here. Come on, Milanov, let's fire. Annoying to block fives. Nah, I can't do it on the turn. Dari Poker going to be concerned that Milanov has a King X type hand.
Do you think if you feel like your flop bet should have gotten rid of a 7, that you're just going to be unlikely to bluff after that?
Well, there's definitely all the 7x with a straight draw or a backdoor flush draw, like 7-9 of hearts is a very good flop call, right? Like 8-9 of spades, and actually turns the 7 into a bluff. Bit out of line from Dari Poker.
So they're trying to bluff out an 8 here?
Queens, jacks, 10s, I think, is what you're targeting. Okay. Like a pocket jacks. Pocket 10s might make a really nice bluff catcher, but pocket jacks, pocket queens, you know, even like king jack when they bet that big. Nice play from Dari Poker, even though, of course, they were bluffing with the best hand. And limp jam is, I think, the play. Dari Poker. And one of the things here is that Viana might even just shove the A7 off. Often how, wow, little surprised at that. Maybe actually, I don't know. I could be definitely wrong about this spot. So Viana checks and has a somewhat deceptively strong ace high. Dari Poker could have considered betting the flop, but 2 overcards, the 8 shrinking a little in value.
Sam, we got Icy Tadpole in chat saying, nah, what Stars should have done is just added 17K to first as a little give back to the players. Sam, do you remember the first big blowout of this series?
Yeah.
Do you remember
the gave back? Like,
do you remember the $1 million overlay?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
thank you for your comment. Just give a little more back.
Viana actually betting for some protection here. Maybe figuring a hand like Queen 9 doesn't need to bluff, and Dari Poker would just check it on the turn. Viana sort of value cutting on the turn.
8s now. Rivers of 4, 8s are good. Snowmen's num num. Pocket queens now for Viana. Going to be facing a ray of some Dari Poker, it looks like.
Yeah, and obviously FBR gonna sort of take a spot, this kind of spot versus a button open very, very often with sort of a bluff, a queen 5 suited or a king X offsuit. Loving it as the chip leader to pick up a premium.
Oh, yeah. And this is going to look very aggro from the small blind.
Yeah, king 10, a little too weak to play back, I would suggest, but I don't know. Dari Poker is definitely gonna have their own approach.
Nice laid out.
Does fold, and we see was the correct play. The chip leader is allowed to get dealt a hand every once in a while, of course.
I was actually just going to say that you should, you know, my rage meter, that if you get dealt like a bunch of bad hands in a row, at a certain point, your meter fills up and then you're guaranteed like 10s plus. The same should go if you're chip leader, like just a little bit. It's not really fair. You have the chip lead and you get dealt queens.
So it's the opposite of rage. You fill up with like joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Joy
Makes
meter.
sense.
I'll take it.
So thanks for your money. We've seen play a very aggressive strategy on this final. We'll use the blocker to raise. Was kind of hoping to just get it done. Now, this is a board that was going to, Milanov going to be limp calling Jack 9 suited, Jack 10 off, 7, 8, and such like. May still elect to bluff with the King Deuce. Checks back.
Oh, it doesn't have to bluff now. King on the turn. Ice Dog asking where James went. Honestly, I haven't seen him for a while. Oh, there he is, that rascal.
What a fancy glass. What is he, the Great Gatsby now?
He only drinks martinis.
So thanks for your money. Might want to protect so many straight draws and gut shots. And of course, you can just get called by, 7, 8 here. Unlikely you're going to get check raised.
Nice bet here, 3.5 billion.
Yeah, and ace 10 is a reasonable hand to call here. It does beat all bluffs at a hand like 3-4 and can improve against any holding. So I like, without being, even though we can see that they were pretty dead, I do like that check call. And I don't know whether thanks for your money can go for value on the river. Obviously, we'll lose to some King X. Loses now to flushes.
Check, check.
But yeah,
thanks for your money, up to 37 million.
Absolutely. And everything thanks for your money has tried, Joe, has come off pretty much. When they've got a little bit out of line, it's worked out for them. When they've 3-bet the 9s, they've got called by 8s. Really, a final table that's gone very, very smoothly for them. But also made a lot of their own luck. And Arbora now with 10s.
Jamming. Worf on YouTube wants to know, can't the players watch the stream and then see the hands of the other? Yes, they absolutely can. However, the hands they're seeing will have happened 30 minutes ago. So, still something to be learned. I suggest even Sam Grafton goes back and watches it.
Do indeed.
Even though he's not doing it to cheat. Still valuable.
Yeah.
A barba.
Sometimes when I'm lonely, I'm grinding the night shift, just put it on. Put on a replay to hear my good friend Joe Stapleton and Griffin Benja chatting a bit of poker strategy.
Or comic books or whatever we happen to be talking about at the time.
Yeah, talking about figurines. It's how I like to the dulcet tones.
What's crazy is I got a whole wall of figurines behind me, but I got to keep this arena backdrop up 24/7, so I never get to see them.
They didn't just send you
They
could just send you wallpaper. You just paper your bedroom wall or your living room wall with the PokerStars Arena thing, and then you don't have to keep putting it up or down.
That would have been easier for sure. And Dari takes this one down. Eviana has quietly lost the chip lead to Abarba. Pretty much even, but the technical chip lead belongs to Abarba.
The technical chip lead. That we're just big fans of Eviana, and we feel like in spirit he's chip. Arbor,
Right.
You're nothing. You've got the technical chip lead, but in our hearts,
There's the de facto
Eviana-
chip leader and the de jure chip leader.
Wow, so fancy, Joe Stapleton. You've got so many gears. It's unbelievable, unbelievable.
It really
People think you're
surprises
just a
people when
pretty
I turn
face.
out not to be a complete Neanderthal.
Yeah. We thought you were here just for your looks, but there's so many gears the man's got.
Nope.
Different gravy. Different gravy.
A man after Sam Grafton's heart here. 9-10 offsuit for Eviana.
Yeah, Eviana trying to back a little bit of momentum. I don't know that you want to be 3-betting chip lead versus second in chips. Obviously, Arbor giving it some thought. Think it's just nice to keep in the dominating holdings. Bad flop for the King Queen here. Obviously, plays so well on so many boards. Flops, top pairs and draws. Being dead against an ace and dead against an 8 is very, but does recognize that it can be ahead as it is in this situation and check calls. And Eviana in the same spot, 9-10, dead against an 8, dead against an ace.
King High will win at showdown if we get there. Abrabra. Checks.
Yeah, and Eviana, worried that Arbor gonna just have a hand like ace deuce or ace 3, doesn't go for it on the river. And now, is it still a technical chip leader, or can we crown them the official chip leader of this?
I'm going to crown them actual chip leader.
We'll allow it. We'll allow it.
I'm Nacho Friend asking, guys, anyone in through a satellite? Yes. Dari Poker. Barba. Still in this event. Did both satellite in for $109.
Beautiful.
We're going to raise here from one of the satellite winners.
Very
Ace 5,
zen.
Sourdough.
Avatar. What is that spiritual? What are the swirly things? Do you know what that is? Does that represent? I mean, you're from LA. You should know. It's some kind of new age.
That's what I looked like at EPT Barcelona after I walked out of the absinthe bar.
And this guy's a little bit nip and tuck right now. We saw a lot of clashes, a lot of big pots all in a row. And now things playing a little bit more subtly. People a little bit more cautious against each other. Worth pointing out that there is, we take it for granted. They're just numbers on the bottom of the screen. It's over $100,000 pay jump. So, you definitely have to be right on the money with what you defend, what you open, in case you get yourself in a bad situation. You don't want to bust out and then afterwards think, maybe I shouldn't have called that from the big blind, or maybe I didn't need to open this hand. Every, decision magnified with these giant payouts. The other side of things, of course, if you accumulate chips, is 983 for first, which on the other hand, you want to sort of keep that in mind and accumulate chips. Dari Poker with the 9-4 suited. I think some players would fold this. Yes, does let it go.
Turns out Dari is some players.
He's some player.
All right, well, we got some hands here finally. Multiple hands. Pocket sixes facing a raise for Milanov. Milanov, the shortest stack right now.
Yeah, and
The technical shortest stack.
And our Barbara does flat on the button.
People are saying our Barbara's avatar is from Avatar.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
there's that. But not the blue people avatar, the cartoon one. 9 high flop. 6 is still the best hand.
Yeah, and annoying for Milanov. Obviously has a 3 straight. Definitely has way the strongest range, but the 9-8
Straight
of the suit just has a lot of connectivity with some hands Barbara might flat, hands that the big blind will call with. And for that reason, elects to check. And our Barbara may stab here. Doesn't.
Oh, spade now.
Yeah, quite a dynamic turn card. Milanov improving to the open-ender. Barbara with a flush draw. Can't know that the 6 of spades is always good.
Look how the 69% equity looks just like their little swirlies. That's got to be something. Nope.
And out of nowhere.
King on the river. The one you suspected the least, Fiana double pairs on the river.
Wow, yeah, I didn't even notice 2 pair. I thought just 1 pair. Improving suddenly to quite a strong holding. And will bet out, hoping that Milanov has a hand like ace-king. Hoping that Barbara has made a rivered king-queen. But still a nice pot to pick up from Fiana, who was dead on nearly all streets except for the river. Let's raise this up, Viana. Come on. Let's go. No. Sorry, I shouldn't be. Or like,
of course you can. That's what you're here for.
No, sorry. I did. I think it's quite nice to be raising there as the dominating stack. And Milanova does have 2 overs to second pair and an 8 of diamonds. Playing quite a deep SBR when the pot is limped.
I got a gut shot draw now for Fiana. You know what? I'm feeling good about that gut shot. Yep, so is Viana.
Yeah, this is obviously one of the nice things about limping. You can apply pressure post, and Fiana obviously feels that's where their skills lie. And it does get the pot 1 anyway, eventually.
Fernando back up over 50 million. Pocket rockets for Milanov. Of course, playing from Bulgaria. I think this person is probably the least accomplished player left in the field.
And Dari Poker thinking bad thoughts here. Certainly for chips, King 9 suited gets 3 bets sometimes, but this is going to prove disastrous for the Romanian. Milanov lurking with aces. This 3-bet would intimidate Milanov out of shoving a lot of hands, but obviously the bullet is going to go in. And this is a dream spot for Milanov. 7.7 million out there. It's going to be very weird when it folds back to Dari Poker. Getting an insanely good price, but really forced to fold. And that's very frustrating for Dari Poker. I think they tanked on a King 9 3-bet a little bit earlier. One of the first times they've got caught bluffing in a very strong spot, and Milanov waking up with it. Very unfortunate for Dari Poker.
Dari Poker, now the short stack. Fewer than 20 big blinds.
Yeah, I think our Barbara could shove here. Elects to just 3-bet and maybe fold to a 4-bet. This is another way to go. I think you do want to use the blocker when you are covering the button. And, you know, Milanov is going to have to be careful, and thanks for your money, about opening too wide if Barbara is going to attack in that manner.
Blind on blind now. Barbara.
Yeah, and I really like this. This is what I was thinking Viana should do. I think coming in for a raise from the small blind as the covering stack, just forcing out hands like 10-8 off, the King-8 off Milanov had, is one of the ways you use the chip lead to your advantage. And everything going against Dari Poker right now, not picking up hands. Obviously, you know, the 3-bet didn't work out. They were, of course, 3-betting and open from King Deuce suited. Had the aces not been lurking behind, that 3-bet would have worked almost certainly, and they would have picked up a nice pot. It's these fine margins, very, you know, can be very, can make a big difference as to who gets the big money here on the final. Well, who gets the extremely big money and who just gets big money.
Yeah, we're already in the big money department. $236,000 for whoever goes out next. $238,000.
Yeah.
What's a couple of grand? And we've got two very playable hands in the blinds. Queen, Jack suited for Milanov, who limps in. Thanks for your money. King-9 suited.
Yeah, and this hand a bit stronger than the King Deuce, so for that reason, going to check. Might sound counterintuitive to some players, but you don't want to be raising these kind of medium strength hands. It'd be a disaster to be re-raised all in and have to fold the King-9. Whereas the King Deuce, you're just using the pure blocker of the King High to kind of win the hand, try and win the hand here and now. So, you know, again, thanks for your money, just showing that they have a very, very strong understanding of this final table spot and rewarded by flopping top pair here.
A very good top pair with King-9. Bets 800K.
Yeah, Milanov in the same spot they were with the Ace-10, really. 2 overs, a backdoor flush draw, forced into check, calling.
The backdoor slams shut with his 9 on the turn.
Yeah, and this is great spot. The king kicker is big here as well. Occasionally, very occasionally, you've collared your opponent who has 9-6 of hearts or 9-8 off or some such holding.
I appreciate it when they let you know the backdoor is off the table right away. Don't leave me wondering if there's going to be a backdoor option. And then at the last minute, be like, nah, just kidding. I don't do backdoors. Better to find out on the turn.
Exactly. And Milanov sensibly folding the Queen Jack.
I'm so glad that whole backdoor conversation happened before I brought on our latest co-commentator and analyst, because she is one of my favorite people in the world, and I hate making her uncomfortable. Please welcome Maria Ho to the broadcast.
Hello.
But do you hate making me feel uncomfortable, though? I kind of feel like you enjoy it just a little.
If I had known, they actually didn't even tell me that you were about to hop on. If I had known, I would have waited for all of that.
Hi, guys. What's going on? Other than,
Maria.
you know, casual playing for almost a milli.
Yeah, good to see you, Maria.
Yeah,
I mean, you've arrived just in time for the big money. That's how I normally like to do it. Turn up when there's real dough in play.
All right, here we go. We got Ace Jack for Barbara.
Yeah, an Ace-9
for Fiona, and Ace-6 for Milanov.
Yeah, definitely can go all three options there. Elects to fold, but can definitely call and occasionally 3-bet.
My goodness.
This board obviously very good for the razor.
Jack.
Yeah, and the Ace of Diamonds a nice little backup. Going to get check raised lefts and options to bluff and barrel.
Milanoff gives it up very quickly. Pocket
Well, here we
tens
go.
for Abrabra, but it's going to be trouble when action flows back around to thanks for your money in the big blind with 2 kings.
Yeah, we haven't had this for a while, but in honor of Maria's arrival, we find a big hand-over-hand situation.
Well, you know, between Joe talking about backdoors and then cranking it after I get on, now we get the kings versus the tens.
Yeah, and one thing that I think is going to be a factor is our Barbara is going to know that they're opening very, very wide here in the spot. They've not got a normal hijack range. You know, we saw them open king deuce suited from this position. As chip leader, they're going to be getting quite out of line here. I'd love to see them still just cool, but I wouldn't blame them if they windmilled it in. It's really nice to fold out an overcard. I think if thanks for your money's bluffing, though, it is kind of like a king X or an ace X. It is just one overcard, and that makes flatting more appetizing. Whoa.
Wow, I did not expect that.
Hey, that was some trick right there. And in the words of Smexy,
Holy.
abracadabra.
I mean,
Wait,
that is real.
Is there like no delay on the stream today? Did they just stream Skype this? What just happened?
I said 30
What
minutes,
a
not 30
laydown.
seconds, guys. You know,
Unreal.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a laydown that good since Sam Grafton took a nap at Charles de Gaulle Airport.
I was wondering where you're going to go there. I mean, you know, I don't think that that's standard or like, you know, what the theory says exactly. But you know, these guys have found their way to playing for 200 to 900K. And there is a reason for that. You know, so people do unorthodox stuff, but it works out for them. They have their own style. And, you know, in this exact instance, let's give our Barbara a lot of credit for a big, big laydown. That's not easy to do. And obviously, you know, they might have won, but mostly they're getting it in very, very bad there. It comes 8 high. And relinquishing the chip lead and doubling up a top player like Thanks for Your Money is a disaster. So good for them.
Yeah, definitely not a fold you're going to see very often. Most players, I think, as Sam had mentioned, would have seen the peel there in the spot, but not him. Soul read.
Although I don't know whether I know you. I hope you're fond of enough of me, Maria, for me to mention this. But you did once fold a set of 10s to Feraldo. Do you remember that?
I surely do remember that, and people don't let me forget it. So
sorry to bring that up. I was just it's your hand there, so such a little. It's one of the reasons it's very tough. Like these guys all know that they're going to have to watch the replay back, and their friends are going to. It's very tough, right? Being on stream, it adds another pressure, right? You're already playing for huge money, and you know, if you get a spot wrong, if Thanks for Your Money's just 3-betting Queen 5 off there, you look a little silly.
100%.
So it takes a lot of confidence to do it. So credit to them for that.
Yeah, it's a tough dynamic to kind of know that obviously you could be wrong and people are going to be watching and judging your every move.
Well,
so many aces dealt out here. It's almost as if there were 4 in the deck because they're all out.
Yes.
Wait, how many? There are 4, right? Okay, never mind. Ace deuce suited, ace 9 suited, ace king off suit for Brabra. Seems like a great situation to put another bet in.
Yeah. I think they're just deciding between shove or 3-bet. Does elect to 3-bet. Going very, very big. Not wanting really any action. Happy to take the money out there and reclaim the technical chip lead.
First time we've seen someone over 60 million, I think. Can't believe nobody's picking up the Bra reference, but thanks for your money. King Queen suited. Go on, Sam.
No, I was just going to say, with sympathy, bringing that up with Maria. Like, if you play on stream, and of course Maria's covered a lot more than me. If you play a few TV shows, you play on stream, eventually you get caught doing something that's silly, and people, the rest of the another 9 hours you've played really good poker, it's like if you make one mistake, that is it. That is clipped. They put that out. No one remembers you. You made a great hero call 5 minutes ago or a big laydown. It's like nothing. But here you are, Feraldo, doing something incredibly reckless in a four-way 3-bet pot, and it's just like, oh, great, you know? So annoying, so annoying.
Yeah, the highlight reel in my
Jack
head looks very different from the highlight reel that people think they see.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And
Ace
nice
four
for
and
Fiona.
flops, the 2 ace jacks. Yep, and I just want to bring up this point from Jack Moore. It says Milanov in the danger zone. Under 10 big blinds for Milanov now.
Yeah, our fourth commentator in the chat joining in and bringing us back to updates about the chip stacks. Thanks for that. Get him in the box. Get him in the quad box. Send him a DM in the Twitch
There's
chat.
so little for me to do already. We don't need a fourth person.
Barbara using the ace of hearts to c-bet, and Viana recognizing how pocket pair heavy they are, looking to just clean up equity and raise here. And again, a loose c-bet strategy isn't going to work out for you if you've got opponents playing back at you like this. Nice play from Viana, just denying his opponent their equity. Imagine they fold king-queen there with the king of hearts. It's such a nice win for Viana. And they can play so well in position after that race.
Yeah,
really nice. I wouldn't... Yeah, go ahead, Maria.
I was just saying, seeing Viana make these plays, this is because he's very experienced and he's been in these spots before. A lot of people might not attack that c-bet in the way that he did. But again, they're playing for so much money. And when you see a situation where you feel like the right thing to do is take the aggressive action, you have to be willing to follow through.
When you say F. Viana's been there before, I would like to remind everybody that F. Viana won the Stadium Series $5,200 buy-in grand final for $721,000. So yes, they have in fact been here before. If you think about it, this is a tougher tournament than that one. That one had just over 900 runners. This one had almost 7,000. Very impressive stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty sick that they're going to need first place money to be able to get their biggest ever score. Like second place just doesn't cut it for Viana. 690K is just like, well, okay, it's another score. Pretty amazing. So thanks for your money. Playing this king queen quite subtly and nicely, limp calling, and Barbara left with 5 high and drawing dead. Thanks for your money. Probably going to target 8x or 9x here with a bet. Might be a chunky one. You had to play checks again.
Thanks for your money. Up over 35 million. And everybody just waiting out Dari Poker and Milanov right now. Both in the danger zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes sense, I guess, that Thanks for Your Money played that king-queen so passively, adjusting to the fact that with a 7 big blind stack, you can't sort of defend your bets or your raises as easily. You can't play big pots or be all in very comfortably, and playing very passively as a result. And so, that's really nice from them. We've seen them play very well in the aggressive node, on the front foot, attacking and bluffing, and now adjusting to the stack distribution, a bad spot to be raising into the big one of the big stacks.
Saw a shove get through from Milanov. We are approaching another break. Looks like we're going to see another shove from Milanov.
Yeah, in general, that's how ace-king off plays. No need to trap it. You get called by ace-x and king-x that you have absolutely crushed. So you can just put it in and know that you get value from a lot of the hands that would raise you all in anyway.
Queens for Thanks for Your Money. Yes, queens.
And I think you're mainly supposed to play limp here in this exact stack distribution, but thanks for your money.
Well, it's almost a limp.
Yeah, I suspected they might do this. Should read as quite strong to our Barbara, especially given how they played King Queen the orbit before. It's going to be a very polarized open, and our Barbara, very nice. Not you can feel tempted to get stubborn there with the King 4 or 3-bet when they're repping very narrow. Not nice play. And Dari Poker, King 3, I think is a fold. I'm not. I mean, when they've got a 6 suited, you should definitely fold.
Right.
I think folding when you're close to middle and off, like King 3 suited, cool, and King 7 off. I don't know. I know like 10 bigs, and once you get to 7 bigs, it's tough, Joe. Yeah. There we go. Live replay of what Dari Poker was doing, and we can see it was a good fold against our Barbara's actual hand.
Time for the second break of the day with 5 players still remaining in the biggest of blowouts. But it ain't the only thing going on today. Don't forget, there's a 1K progressive knockout series saver. It's just like a regular knockout, only they don't believe in cultural appropriation. It's a progressive knockout. We're going to check in on Tatiana Barusova, Misters Y. Also Bomber and Grenader, who I believe is Anton Wig, also at this table.
Yeah, it's
I heard from earlier on.
And Alex Better.
Yeah, go ahead, Maria.
I was just saying, I heard from earlier on the broadcast, Sam, that this is the one that you wanted to register, but your professionalism got the better of you. But you kind of wish you were still in it.
Taking what my series did need saving. That was the thing. There was a SOS for Sam Grafton's Blowout Series. It's been blown out not in a good way, and so but I turned down the opportunity. Basically, I feel like I turned down $92,000. That's what I did for the good of the team. I said I could win $92,000 today, but I won't. I'll come sit in the booth. And Alex Better, by the way, going to feel a bit more comfortable with the 6 here, betting for value. The ace going to chill things out. All 8s on chop now, but Mrs. White collecting the pot. Yeah, as a progressive knockout, we'll just use gender-neutral pronouns, right, Joe? We'll just say they.
That's right.
We'll be,
they.
That's right.
All of the days. Human. This human. That human.
Yes.
Except for Misters Y, we definitely know that that's a she.
We do know
Mystery, sir. Mr. Z.
Have you ever met them in real life?
Mrs. Y.
What's her name
I'm
in
sorry?
real life? Do you know? Have you ever
Tatiana
met them in real life?
Barusova.
Have you ever met Tatiana? I don't think I have.
I have met Tatiana.
There we go, Joe Staples.
I have not met her, but she seems like a
brief.
lovely lady.
Yeah. Good player, strong player.
Who's winning here? Anybody?
Queen High, looking good. They don't want to hit a queen. So Speedy with a decision whether to just check, take the equity, tiny bit of showdown value with Jack High, or to start bluffing and representing a 9. Does check back.
Queen High does win. How appropriate after the gender discussion.
I saw they just launched gender neutral deck where instead of king and queen has gold and silver.
Oh, I saw that
so
too.
You don't have, so you don't have the thing. There we go. Maybe that's the kind of deck we should use for the progressive knockout. Let's make that a thing.
Max Silver not pleased.
Yeah.
Ace King gonna ISO shove over the 7s all in here, and
Pocket 8s with a small decision just because of the KO. It was definitely a swift all in from Misters Y.
No.
Could be 5s and 6s. You know, there are This obviously is a great... Wow. Remove the color crayons. Wow,
There it
we
is.
go.
Oh, wow.
Two
match.
knockouts for Remy Lebo. Nice old bounty, and what a fantastic opportunity to head on back over to the main event, aka the biggest blowout. Here are your top 5 of 5 remaining chip counts. It is now my pleasure to hand the reins back to the real captain of the ship, Mr. James Hardigan.
Thank you very much, Joe. So 2 players in the danger zone. Danger zone! Milanov and Vlad Dari, 9 and 7 big blinds respectively. And we have Fernando Viana, winner of the first ever Stadium Series Grand Final last summer, as chip leader with 66 bigs, as we play down to a winner tonight with a first prize of nearly $1 million. Let's do this. I said, let's do this. Thank you. Feel the cards.
Let's go. Yeah,
Maria,
so
how
we've
are
got
you?
kind of... Oh, go ahead.
Sam, I'm talking to Maria. Maria, how are you?
Yes, please.
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, James.
Sam, you can now talk about the players. Thank you.
Well, we might get an all-in from Derek Poker here with the Queen High. Makes some sense to shove it. So we'll see how this plays out before I offer any analysis. Viana will certainly be calling with an ace, even a weak one.
And Vlad Dari at risk with Queen 8. Club's not a factor. Does not hit on the river, and we get an elimination on the very first hand back from break. One of the shorties is gone. Vlad Dari from Romania out in 5th for nearly $250,000. That is 5th place prize money.
Yeah, that's an amazingly big score. Or, you know, things didn't really go Vlad's way across the course of this final table, but we'll be, you know, very, very pleased to get another huge score to add to the resume. And obviously great for these guys, particularly Milanov, 888, who was in a kind of, I was going to highlight sort of battle of the short stacks. And Milanov now going to be a lot freer with the 9 big blinds, playing more directly just for chips, not really much ICM pressure. Thanks for your money. Still going to be a little curtailed, wanting to outlast the extreme short stack, while Viana and R. Barbara try and hoover up the chips.
Well, here's my question, guys, and it's crystal ball time. And I'm not trying to write off Milanov here. There is a chance that Milanov spins up the stack, and we've seen it time and time again. But a large percentage of the time, Milanov will go out in 4th place, leaving 2 big stacks and a medium stack. Is that the point when you think someone might just tick that box and say, let's look at the numbers?
I mean, it's going to depend, and this is a delicate subject to touch on, but depends how they perceive our Barbara and depends how they feel about each other. You know, like, again, it would seem that Viana, and thanks for your money, very, very experienced, our Barbara has given a very good account of themselves, and so therefore they might want to chop. But one thing that hampers the ability to do deals is if you feel like you have a significant edge on someone else. Also, you know, the size of your own bankroll. Viana obviously padded their bankroll by 700,000 in the recent past, and therefore might be willing to gamble. So those things are going to factor into it. Certainly, though, it is reasonable, and we do very often see deals when it's going to be another $500,000 to play for. Wouldn't you agree, Maria?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, to your point, everything that you mentioned about, you know, how they perceive each other's skill levels, you know, it's not like they're very shallow. Even as a middling stack, there's plenty of playability still, so the skill edge can still prevail. But when you have that much money left on the line, I think people are still going to be more inclined just to consider making a deal. They might not tick the box, but they will give it a really good think.
Yeah, I mean, just look at those jumps and see how does this not end? Even if it's just heads up, how does this not end in some kind of chop? Because, you know, you're right, they're all relatively deep, but even so, I can see them wanting to take a bit of variance out of this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And as our resident historian of PokerStars broadcast, FBiana, did they do a deal when it was the Blowout Series?
Oh, it was with the Stadium Series. I'll be honest with you, Sam. I don't remember. I mean, it was a decent score. It was like more than 800K in a 5K. So it may well be that they played for it all.
Yeah, they possibly did it. I only joined that broadcast like three-handed, and I feel like maybe they had done a deal, or maybe FBiana just ran good and it was just like all over quite quickly. I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. Certainly, you know, also thanks for your money. Very experienced player. And again, you know, you do get these characters who, you know, just, I don't want to say ego, but because that's got a negative connotation, but have that confidence in their own ability, and it will depend on them. But yeah, as you say, playing for, you know, you started off by playing a $1,000 buy-in. Not like you started off playing a 10K where it's kind of expected that you might play for 400K or 200K at some point. You started off by playing a 1K. That's 310 buy-ins difference between first and second place. And you know, that also is a factor where you feel like, well, maybe I don't want to push my luck here. I've outlasted 6,900 people. Maybe I just want to, you know, take what my stack is worth right here and now.
Well, Sam, after that conversation, I dispatched some of our stats team into the annals of poker history. They did some annal probing, and I can confirm that there was a three-way deal at the final table of the 5K Stadium Series Grand Final. So, yes, Fernando Viana did chop as we see Milanov get it in here for just shy of 9 bigs.
Yeah, quite a tight fold there from our Barbara with the ace-9 off. And
Milanov, though, in this situation, certainly going to get it in and get called, depending on what FBiana decides to do, though.
Yeah, and Milanov in a great spot now. The flatting hand rarely going to be better than ace-jack. So you can see in this situation, it is a flip. And if our Barbara folds, it is off to the races. Like
fold from ace-4 suited.
Rio de Janeiro
calls.
versus Sofia.
Oh, what a flop. Jack high, but a set of threes. It's over on the turn, and Milanov, 888, busts in 4th place. That is worth just shy of $340,000. And here we go. It is Thanks for Your Money who starts the conversation. You guys want to check numbers? And yes, they are going to discuss a deal. They've all ticked the box. They are going to look at potentially chopping the remaining prize money. And a reminder, and this did come up earlier on when someone asked the question, any deal would have to leave $50,000 for the eventual champion. So they will play this out, whatever happens.
And one way to look at these figures is that essentially you've got $2.1 million of prize pool that you're essentially playing a sit and go with unequal stacks for. And I think it's when you look at it in those terms that you're more tempted to do a deal. To play a $50,000 winner takes all spin and go is quite strong. But to play 2.1 million, you know, almost no one in the world essentially is buying in for a $700,000 three-handed sit and go. And if you decide to not deal or not at least consider doing a deal, you're essentially saying, hey, I've got the bankroll or I've got the confidence to want to place for a $700,000 sit and go. And, you know, so I think it's very, very natural, as you said, James, that we would lean into looking at numbers.
And obviously,
FBiana
the numbers
giving a nonchalant.
The numbers they look at.
Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worth highlighting again. And if you've watched these streams in the past, you'll know that the numbers they look at the players are privy to that information. We are not. And if they do a deal, we'll only learn those numbers at the point that players are eliminated and their actual payouts appear in the tournament lobby. The only thing we will know for sure is that it'll be roughly dependent on stack size at the time, and there'll be 50K set aside for the winner. And again, highlighting that our Barber, the kind of unknown quantity, as you said, Sam, qualified via a $109 satellite and is a mid-stakes regular, whereas FBiana, we established, has had a lot of success, as has Thanks for Your Money. a Canadian player with 1 WCOOP title and some Sunday Million results. In fact, 2 Sunday Million wins and a second place finish, all within a 3-year period.
That's amazing. That's thanks for your money, you said? Yeah. That's remarkable. Yeah, so of course deal completed. There we go.
Deal agreed.
Wow, that was fast.
That's what she said. I'm sorry, I've been rewatching The Office, the American Office, last few days, and now it's stuck in my mind. And there we go. $50,000 on the line.
Good game, well played. Good game, guys. Good luck, good luck.
I feel like I can already hear the sound of them cracking open a beer, pouring themselves a drink at this point.
I'll tell you what, you're absolutely right, Maria. This must be one of the most pleasurable ways to play poker. To be playing for what is a huge sum of money, $50,000, but knowing you've already got bagged $500,000, is just a very enjoyable experience, I think. Certainly these 3 bets, these blind on blind situations are way, way less tense for these guys. And, they said GG, good luck to each other. And for all 3 of them, particularly Barbara, who satellited in, this is an amazing score. And Fiana.
Sam, where are you getting Barbara from? Bar.
Yeah, I mean
3 clear syllables.
I just look at it and say it vaguely. It's like just like there are R's and B's, and I just arrange them randomly.
You're bendering it, as I like to say. One thing I just wanted to highlight very quickly, sorry Maria, is that just as you were talking there, thanks for your money said to Fernando Viana. Nice back-to-back scores, Viana, main event specialist, to which he said, thanks. I mean, there is the prospect here that we'll see someone within 6 months win the grand final of Stadium Series and win what really is the main event of the Blowout Series.
Yeah,
it's a pretty amazing feat if Viana were able to do that. I mean, even just getting this far, obviously, I think that there's a particular kind of player that is elite, but especially when it comes to playing against big fields. I think somebody that a lot of people might think of, especially when it comes to the live scene, is somebody like a Phil Hellmuth, right? Like he's the type of player that he just knows how to navigate some of those big fields really well, and he knows how to play against a specific type of player. There's the players that, excel at the high rollers, but then there's these players that can get through a really well-structured main event against a huge field.
Yeah, absolutely. And Viana, I mean, it's quite remarkable achievement. Really, it really will sort of go down in poker history and online poker history to some extent. I mean, there's been these big tournaments. There's always big series on Stars, but particularly because of COVID and because of lockdown, and Viana scooping up a huge chunk of change over this little sort of lockdown online poker boom. Really impressive.
So a reason why it says TBC on first, second, and third, as we referenced when they were discussing a deal, now that they have chopped the prize money, leaving 50K aside for the eventual winner, we don't know what those sums are. We don't know what the deal amounts are, and we won't know those amounts until players are eliminated and their actual cash out appears in the lobby.
Yeah, and thanks for your money. This is the second time blind on blind we've seen them take a little bit of a loose approach, raising second pair and getting blown off, essentially the best hand against a very strong pair plus draw. Here, check raising the Queen 9 with a club blocker and building an 8 million chip pot.
Oh, hello, Queens.
I think Queen 8 off is just a good candidate to maybe limp in here from the small blind.
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on the size, Viana makes it Normally, you do want to go to a flop, depending what you think your opponent's approach is to this situation.
Just the one overcard to the queens.
And queen 8 off, just the 8 of spades, kind of in no man's land. Possibly just going to fold here. I think that's sensible. Going to have plenty
At this
of
point,
X.
as Efiana extends his chip lead and moves up towards the 100 million mark, we are at this point going to say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye to the squid. Sam, thank you very much for your sterling work on the Blowout Series. Always a pleasure spending time in your company. Until the next one, because you know it'll be rolling around really soon.
Thanks, guys. Have fun with the rest of the show. And yeah, thanks to everyone that watched. See you guys soon.
Thank you very much.
Sam.
Sam, Maria is going to hang around. Griffin Benja will be with us soon as we go to a King 10-7 flop here. And it's top pair versus second pair, Maria. No one's got a diamond.
Yeah, thanks for your money, you know, in a spot because middle pair's pretty decent, but you don't have any backups with diamonds. But I think calling one and deciding is the way to go here. Our Barbara just taking the consideration of trying to protect against, you know, a lone diamond that could be in thanks for your money's hand. But of course, it's not necessarily strong enough to maybe get 3 streets of value.
So here's the thing, Maria. Now Sam's gone and we can stop trolling him over the Barbara thing. Clearly, it's meant to be arbor, but if you're not going to put any kind of space or capital A's or underscore between the two, you become, as far as I'm concerned, arbor.
Yeah, and now I'm just having trouble not pronouncing it R. Barbara.
I know, right? That's the effect that Sam Grafton has.
Yep. He's got me playing 10-9 suited all the time through to 3 bets, 4 bets, and pronouncing this person's name wrong.
Yeah, I do, in all seriousness, think it would be awesome, though, to have an event in an online series schedule, which is called the Grafton Rule, where if you have 10-9 suited pre-flop, you are not allowed to fold. Like, literally, fold is grayed out. It's not an option. And I know that sounds like a simple click a button and we can make it happen. It probably requires a lot of coding and development work that's probably not possible or in any way plausible, but I still like the idea.
Our Barba here with a belly buster and ace high. But I think for Efiana, just the pair of 10s, probably not good enough to bet.
Yeah, 10's still good on the river. And Fernando Viana up over 95 million now, opening with 9-8, dominated by Thanks for Your Money with Jack 8. Ace, Queen 10 on the flop.
Pretty standard continue here from Efiana as the pre-flop opener. Efiana probably considering now just shutting it down. Obviously, Thanks for Your Money can easily have a lot of the 10Xs, ace Xs. But no, keeps that pressure on. And obviously with Thanks for Your Money's exact hand, it will be tough to call again. given that the board is paired, even though you're going for that double gutter. Really weird spot because, you know, you show up at the river, you've missed your draw. You probably don't think Jack High is going to be good at showdown, but you have 20 million and the pot's 16.8. You do have that Jack, which is nice, you know, blocking King Jack. Certainly, when you called on the flop in the turn, a hand that you can represent.
12 million on the river. And Lonnie Hallett, the Sunday Million specialist from Canada, is up to 37 million. Blinds up in 3 minutes. A small increase. We go from 500k 1 million to 600k 1.2 million. And pocket fours versus ace king. It all goes in here. It's going to be a race. No, it's not.
Yeah, Viana is just going to put in the 3-bet. And the fact of the matter is they've made a deal now. They are still, of course, playing for 50,000 on top of whatever deal that they had arrived to, but it's a close spot.
So we get the 3-bet from Viana with ace king.
I think the consideration for Thanks for Your Money comes into the fact that,
it does
you know,
go in, Maria.
Yeah.
It does go in, and we do get a ridiculous flip. And fours hold,
Wow.
and it's the big switcheroo as Thanks for Your Money. Lonnie Hallett takes the chip lead and now has nearly 75 million. The reason why I didn't think it was going to go on, that's a 35 big blind shove with pocket fours.
Yeah, but I do think that if you believe Viana has a fair amount of 3-bet folds there, it's so profitable chips-wise to just go for the 4-bet shove, and you're going to get folds against hands that, you know, you're obviously going to be flipping against but won't ever call the 4-bet shove. But again, it's a factor because they made that deal, and probably not necessarily a flip that Thanks for Your Money would be willing to take without having made the deal. I call those fake flips. You know, whenever I see like ace king get it in with deuces, I'm like, it's not a real flip. Those are fake flips.
I mean, it's a fair point from Fold Up Gorilla. If the deal is not in place, does he make that shove there? Probably not. It's easier to gamble when you've locked up whatever you have.
What did I tell you?
Time already.
I knew it. Once the deal was made, how could you not crack open a beer?
For Arba, long time already. Arba's been on the booze for a fair few orbits. Since that ace-king versus queen's hand, indeed, says Arba. So blind v blind, Jack 9 versus Queen 5.
Arba trying to pressurize that limping range of Thanks for Your Money. But yeah, I think Jack 9 offsuit is one of those ones that you feel fairly comfortable limp calling BVB.
Straight draw, flush draw, near enough 90% equity. Happy days, 1.8 into 7.3.
Definitely as good of a flop you could hope for when you raise with Queen 5-0.
And as James Bond said so unnecessarily and so aggressively in Casino Royale, shall we raise the blinds? Yes, we're now 600K, 1.2 million. So Arbor and Eviana pretty much tied for second now, 50 million apiece. Thanks for your money has the chip lead. And it's top pair versus second pair on this ace 8-3 board.
Yeah, and certainly good enough for a continuation bet from Eviana. Just making sure that they're protecting that middle pair against, you know, a Jack 10 type hand, Jack 9 type hand.
So Eviana takes the lead here, two pair on the turn. And bets big, 8.4 into 9.7.
Yeah, nearly pot size bet. I mean, I think this is a really great sizing because you recognize that it's very likely our Barba has an ace in their hand. So you want to make sure that they come along, but
the board pairs on the river, and now Arbor with the better two pair, aces and threes.
But I think Eviana knows that a check back in this spot, and just having to be okay with the fact you got counterfeited is the best thing you can do there. It's
tad grotesque, and just like that, in a few hands, in a few minutes, Fernando Viana goes from big chip leader to being the shortest stack at this three-handed final table.
Yeah, two pretty unfortunate scenarios for Viana, three-handed.
Jack 9 versus threes, blind v blind.
You know, with just about 30 bigs effective, I can conceivably see thanks for your money. Just potentially putting the pedal to the metal with the threes here in this blind versus blind spot.
All you can eat. And Viana forced to fold. 9-8 suited versus King 9 suited. Another small blind versus big blind confrontation. Based on the disparity in the stacks, Maria, at the point that they did the deal, whatever happens, regardless of who wins the 50K, Fernando Viana is going to have the biggest payday today, right?
Yeah, and ultimately, I think Viana has enough experience to know that these things are going to happen, and you've made the deal already. You've locked up a certain amount of money, and whatever happens after that, it's kind of just a fresh tournament. At that point, you're playing for that 50K up top and for the title. So I don't think he could be too disappointed.
No. Pocket queens, and Fernando Viana raises, gets the call from 8-4. set of queens, and this is where you just hope that your opponent has caught a small piece of this, but nah.
Yeah, just overkill here for Viana, especially compared to what Thanks for Your Money actually has here.
Well, you know the rules, Maria. We like to have at least one commentator per player when we get shorthanded on our streams. So at this point, we can welcome Griffin, the Unicorn Benja, to the proceedings. And he's even come dressed as a unicorn.
I think it might even be a pig unicorn. Very special.
I know, I was going to say that the snout look is new for a unicorn, but...
Yeah, this wasn't specially ordered. I literally went to go put on my clothes for today, and I saw this in there. So it must be my lovely girlfriend's costume of some sort. Hopefully I don't stretch it out.
This was unexpected, disturbing. I guess we'll get used to it. And the irony is, Griffin, you wearing a unicorn onesie on this stream is probably not the most ridiculous thing that you've ever been seen doing, and isn't even close to being among the clips of you going viral on the internet.
Oh, no, not at all. But hopefully this will add to it.
The legend grows.
Absolutely. You know Griffin Benja. What up, Swede? Check your privilege. Unicorn out onesie.
Definitely has to go on your Twitter bio, Griffin.
Absolutely. F. Viana, this guy. Always see this guy in the big ones.
I know.
I feel like that the man in the fire. I think that's a shot from a specific shot from a movie. I want to say like V for Vendetta or like The Usual Suspects.
You are correct. It is V for Vendetta, yes.
Nice.
Whereas Fernando Viana, I believe, has a picture of Fernando Viana as his avatar.
Yeah. Doesn't change it either. I love when people keep their avatars. I've seen that one for a while.
Thanks for your money. Just betting on that paired 8 turn. Just betting, you know, their equity with the double gut shot. Would have been happy to just take it down right there, but Arba not deterred.
Yeah, and going to be expecting to run into a lot of sort of ace highs and pairs like pocket 4s, 7s, things like that. Maybe a 6. Going to be hard to get that to fold with all the draws missing.
Queen high flop. Viana, a 4-1 favorite here. So the 3 countries represented at this final table in this 3-handed battle. Lithuania, it's Arba. Brazil, Fernando Viana, and Canada, the home country of the chip leader, Lonnie. Thanks for your money, Hallett. I'd love it if someone just tuned in now and is like, what is happening? Why is that man wearing that?
What are we watching? F. Viana with 30 bigs effect. Just a good hand to limp in here with the 9-8 offsuit. Ooh.
That'll be a straight then. But again, opponent doesn't really have anything other than a backdoor flush draw. The dude watching on YouTube wishes it to be known that the pig unicorn is a more rare beast than the horse unicorn.
Well said. Fair fight here. Queen Jack against Ace 4, but much better flop for our Bara, but not one you're thrilled about. a lot of turn cards. You know, Airbara might continue here with that bottom gutter and the ace high, but with no heart in the hand, a lot of bad turn cards. Not that
You
one.
will die with your heart in your hand.
Yeah, and
I
this
think
is tough
this is
for
going to be a
Eviana.
one and done.
Yeah. I mean, the turn is a card that you can rep if you're Eviana, but obviously with that type of board texture, you probably know that your opponent's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, just a lot of hands like, you know, Arbar could have something as weak as Jack 6, but if that Jack is a heart, you know, going to be continuing, not deterred by the ace, still drawing to that big flush.
Ace King opens on the button. And separation now between the three of them. Clearly, thanks for your money with the chip lead, but Arba up over 60 million as we see Viana dropping down well below the 30 big blind mark, although has outflopped the chip leader here. Pair of sevens.
Yeah, the only real benefit for Viana being this short doesn't really have to succumb to too much worry about ICM. You're just kind of trying to get involved and double up and get back into a position where you can finish in the final two.
Yeah, and cagey little check from Viana here on the turn with trips. You know, 2 flush draws out there, but just wanting to give thanks for your money a chance.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times when we're seeing this level of players, we anticipate and often see a bet on something like a 2 flush board. A lot of straight draws you could have as the better. You're going to get a lot of calls from ace highs like ace king. But Viana going a different route here and going for the check raise. And it did end up getting that bet from Thanks for Your Money.
Yeah, and certainly even though, as Griffin mentioned, there's quite a few combo draws possible, I think Thanks for Your Money just recognizes that as too strong to really look up here with the ace-king high.
Yeah, and running risk of losing the chip lead. You know, if you call that check raise, get stubborn on the river. Don't want to be doing that with ace high. This is going to be very interesting to see how Viana reacts to what I would expect to be a 3-bet from our Barba. You know, you don't want to be folding pairs for 30-ish bigs 3-handed here, especially when you don't have a lot to lose as the person in last. So we might end up seeing an all-in and a call here, which will be a very, very big pot 3-handed. But just finds a fold.
Now, King 6 versus Ace Deuce. Arba raising small to big, gets the call. King high flop, just the 1 spade. Martin asking, are they pros or is there a qualifier? Well, Arba does not normally play these stakes. Arba is a mid-stakes regular who qualified for $109. Arba's best score before today was a not insignificant sum of money. $98,000 for the second place spot in the Sunday Million back in 2018. But clearly has outdone that today by some margin.
You have to wonder if that enters into the thought process of Viana, you know, usually going to be familiar with a lot of the high stakes players. And maybe when you're facing, you know, a 3-bet from the big blind from someone that you don't really know a lot about, that it's going to be perceived a bit more strong than, you know, if you're playing a 5K against, you know, Federer Holtz and he's 3-betting you from the big.
Jack 9 versus King 4. We've got second pair versus bottom pair. Fernando Viana bets the minimum, 1.2 million.
Yeah, and certainly,
Yeah, just-
you know, in a limped pot, reason enough for both players to continue here.
Yeah, I think with third pair, Viana just wants to put out a little protection, not really, you know, wanting a sort of 10 or a queen to peel off if his opponent has something like queen deuce. Sometimes opponent is going to have a king, but a lot of the times that 9 is good. Aces would have probably raised that limp pre-flop. Interesting to see a second barrel here.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't necessarily expecting that. And, you know, thanks for your money. Can't do much more than just come along. Certainly, Viana will limp in sometimes from the small with an ace-x type hand and even some traps as well. But with the ace pairing on the river, I think thanks for your money should feel fairly comfortable. They have the best hand.
Yeah, Viana certainly with the range advantage, but I'm curious to understand why betting the turn so big there.
Ace Jack of diamonds raising to 4.2, called by 9 at 6. Oh, hello. Top pair for thanks for your money, and the flush draw for Arbor.
Wow, a very sizable bet there. It's probably a product of, you know, all the possible draws. I think that's as, you know,
Now,
innocuous of a
gut shot
turn
here.
as you could hope for. Yeah.
5-6. Oh, yeah. Another big bet. 15 into 20.
Yeah, and thanks for your
What
money,
is it always
Vibe.
coming, James?
Oh, indeed. I was going to say, with the increased equity, picking up the straight draw to go with the flush draw, we get the call. No, it's the most flamingest of all Barrys. It's the ace of spades, the ace on the river, which gives Lonnie Hallett trips, but it does give Arbor the flush, and neither player has pot behind.
Yeah, what a tough river here for thanks for your money. I mean, obviously the flush comes in, but you have to feel pretty comfortable against, you know, any other ace-x possibilities that your opponent could have. You're gonna,
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think Lonnie's super
All in
thrilled.
and a call.
Wow.
The biggest pot of this final table so far, 142 million chips, and they go in the direction of the qualifier. Arbor wins with the flush against trips, takes the ridiculously huge chip lead, leaving thanks for your money with a bowl of rice.
yeah, just gross. You don't want to lose value from a lot of the potential, you know, worse aces, but I mean, that SBR was just really tough to navigate on the river.
Yeah, you kind of just break down Arbara's hands into sort of 3 categories at that stage. You know, a worse ace, something like ace 5 that already has, I think with there's a 5 on the board, something that's already sort of going to be boated up. And then the flush draw combos. And I think that thanks for your money didn't want to check and ever fold. So decided to just go for the max value and hope that Arbor ended up having those worse ace hands, but it did not.
Well, this changes the dynamic significantly. Now we have trip 9s for Fernando Viana.
And a chance that Viana could get a bit of value here. This was, of course, limped pre-flop and checked all the way down to the river. So Arbara, the cheapest it can be made, might just get a curiosity call out of Viana. But this does look like a value bet from an 8 or even a 7. And then, of course, the even better hands like 9s and jacks, which would have maybe checked the flop and certainly checked the turn.
So thanks for your money says, here come the 6 out of 6 all-in wins, guys. Sorry.
Good fold.
Good luck with that plan, sir. Ace-4
Pretty hand to
shoves
start it
on
with.
Queen-Jack. Calls all in.
Number one.
Says this is number 1. Not looking good. Doesn't get there, and that is the elimination of Lonnie Hallett. The Canadian goes out in 3rd place, cashing for $646,000. Now remember, when they did the deal, Thanks for Your Money was the shortest stack. 646K is near enough $200,000 more than 3rd place was meant to pay. So Thanks for Your Money, definitely the beneficiary of the deal. And here we go again.
Nom nom.
So heads up with a massive chip disparity. 140 million playing
Uh-oh.
30 million. Sevens against ace-9. And are we going to see a ridiculously huge flip?
Yeah, 26
Yeah,
effective. You have to imagine Viana, yeah, is going to be putting all these chips in, and too strong here with 2 sevens.
A pretty committing re-raise from Fernando Viana. Arbor. Shoves with the sevens. Viana calls all in. Here we go. Flip the coin. There is a 7 on the flop.
Of course.
And it's
Of
all
course
over.
it is.
It's over.
We've got our winner.
He's
It is
out.
the qualifier, Arbor, who takes it down. But because of the deal, we already established that Fernando Viana was going to walk away with the most amount of money, $771,000. But still, a great payday for our official Big Blowout champion. On an investment of $109, Arbor cashes out the $739,976 because they get the additional $50K that was still in play. Let's get Joe back into the mix for our closing thoughts on this series. Another relatively short final table. With the high rollers, you kind of always expect they're going to play at a pretty fast pace, but with 30-minute levels and the mix of talent we had, Joe, I didn't think this one was going to go as quickly as it did.
You know, it did, and I think that, you know, obviously, and I'm a big fan of this, a lot of it can be chalked up to the deal. I like my poker deals the way I like my haircuts, an even chop and leave a little bit on the top.
So, Maria, a good mix of poker over the last 4 weeks, some high rollers, some big blowouts. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome to see, of course, all the familiar faces that are just playing at the highest levels find their way to these final tables. And then somebody like Viana, who, of course, has been able to navigate these big fields. And then Arba, just living the dream. What a way to finish.
Yeah, and worth highlighting once again that Fernando Viana did win the Stadium Series Grand Final last summer and is now 2nd in the Big Blowout, the final Big Blowout, kind of the main event of the series, if you will. Griffin, the final thing to say to you is that this unicorn onesie has gone down incredibly well, and there are some people in some corners saying that when live poker eventually returns in 2027, they want to see Griffin Benja, the unicorn Benja, living up to his name and wearing this at the felt.
I can promise it. Let's do it. Why not? Anything for the fans.
That unicorn costume makes me horny.
Don't go anywhere, by the way. We've got one final surprise in store for you all before we sign off for the evening. Obviously, thanks to all of my co-commentators. My thanks to Joe, Maria, Griffin, Sam Grafton, and Nick Walsh. 3 important groups of people to say a big thank you to. The first is to everyone who's watched the streams over the last 4 weeks. Thank you for all your questions and comments. Genuinely, not in the flippant, sarcastic way that Joe does, but genuinely thank you for watching and for everything you've posted over the last 4 weeks. Of course, extended thanks to the extended production team and to everyone who's put together these streams over the days towards the end of Christmas into the first few weeks of 2021. And the most important group of people to thank are the players. Thank you for letting us critique your play, riff on your avatars and funny screen names. Without you, these shows would not be possible. We really appreciate entering these events, playing these events, and allowing us to provide some entertainment and distraction in these still difficult times. I did say earlier on, you know there's going to be another one of these things soon, so keep your eye across the socials, as the young people would say, because I'm sure we will be bringing you more streams and more online poker in the coming weeks. But for now, from everyone here, it is good night from the PokerStars Arena.
Let's get the hell out of here. Hey, who's picking them up? Smell you later.
Wait, what?
Guys, you're just gonna do us like that?
I don't think they're coming back. I'm keeping the onesie.
Did anyone bring any sourdough?